Hello, welcome everyone. This is episode 2. Here's my Anyways, welcome everyone. This is episode 2 of the TC2 Podcast. This is going over stuff that went over the year. Just in general, the entire last span of the going through each years. How we feel about them, how you would have liked to see them change, all that jazz. Anyways, I'll introduce you to the new people here. We have Aaron. Say hi, Aaron.
Hello.
Then returning, new also, Jot.
Yo, what's up?
And then Deku, Miku, you already know them. Don't worry about them.
Whoa.
Alright, so the first topic is New Year. Wait, what was going on? What happened over the New Year for you guys? Nothing? Anything exciting?
Nothing much, really.
Related to the game or in general?
Just in general.
Oh, okay. Well, not much. Lockdown, so there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fireworks were banned here, unless you already had some. Like, you weren't allowed to buy.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. It's weird. Like, so the rule was you're not allowed to buy any. Like, the stores weren't allowed to sell any. But apparently, if you already owned fireworks from like the last year, you're allowed to use them. So it's like, bruh. Yeah, I don't understand what the point was.
Nice ruling.
Yeah, so like people obviously already had them stockpiled up like months ago, right? So yeah. But other than that, it was pretty normal. Nothing really new. I don't know. Kind of lost that whole New Year celebration vibe myself.
Yeah. People, some people actually set off some military grade like flares, like raiding flares.
Holy shit!
Yeah. And then gunshots out here because America.
Bald eagles screaming in the distance.
Yeah. Go on, Miku.
Mine was kind of I mean, it has been raining for me. It has been like here has been raining since like the start of the year, like non-stop. Like every day it just rain and rain.
Yeah.
It's like no way I could go out and like enjoy my new year. So I just I'm just gonna stay home. Then, I don't know. Play my games, I guess.
All right. I want to move on now. At the start of the game, 2018, I think I don't remember the release date actually. When you first played the game, how'd you like it at first compared to like TC1 if you played? You're coming from there.
When I first came like to TC2, like because I played the betas and stuff, right? So I kind of already knew what was gonna happen. But like compared to TC1, I liked it in every way. Like more at the start, that is, like because I didn't really look much at the fact that like map detail and all that was different. I just loved the fact that we had more stuff, more vehicles, and most importantly, physics were like 10 times better than TC1, which was like a huge thing. So yeah, I pretty much loved it, and I was just enjoying it more, just casually doing all the stuff.
Yeah, it's just the same for me. Like, I don't know, just like watching the videos and seeing like the ideas they had for the game. It just seemed like TC1, but like it's gonna be bigger and better.
You're just excited for new content, right? It was kind of like a huge like update. Basically, yeah, it was just a new game.
Yeah, like a lot of people were complaining about the fact that it was the same map, but like I was thinking like if they're gonna do something more with it, then that's fine in my opinion. Because I don't know, like TC1, the map was fairly well realized, but like could have had more things to do in it. So I felt like with boats and planes, you're gonna have like so much more to do, but as time went on.
Let's keep in the context of like first and like 2018. We're all in 2018 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucking When I saw boats and planes, I was like, really? Like, no one asked for this. That was my mindset for a long time. Even
Yeah, I
still.
wasn't interested initially in them.
I was hyped as fuck when I saw planes. Like, I was just taken away.
Of course, plane man.
2018. Nah, I couldn't relate. For me, I was still in Forza, so like for me, I wasn't really like looking forward to the game, even though I did play the first one. But I dropped the first one like for like a very long time. So I only played like in the alpha and beta, and then only got the game like a year later. I did,
Mm.
but there were like several free weekends. There was like 1 or 2 free weekends I did play it. I thought like the game was fine. I think I remember playing like when they finally introduced the wall riding fix, which somehow got reverted from what
Oh,
I was told.
like the insane slowdown like they
Yeah,
had before. Yeah.
the insane sticky walls. Like you
You
touch a
say
wall and that's it, you're
insane,
done.
but it's actually more realistic.
Yeah.
It
No,
was insane compared to like not having any at the time, you know.
yeah,
Well,
because I remember like at the start you could just wall ride everybody. I'm like, what is going on? And then
we're
like
speaking of Ivory Tower. We know only extremes.
it's it's either they go ham or they go home. But yeah, like I mean when I first started the game, I thought like okay, this is fine. But then when I like got to know like more people here and where I got to know like all the issues, I started to think like yeah, this is actually like uh is this gonna go to shit like pretty quick if you know shit hasn't been done.
And this was only the first year, like impressions, right?
Yeah.
You're only like
I joined pretty late, so I can't really like say what was I expecting from the start. But it's like after like I gather it was only like after I gather like opinions from people, and then I started to like yeah, I think this is not yeah, not worth
For
it.
me, the start of TC2 was like it was like the only other game I was looking forward to at the time. Like I was done with the current main games I used to play like as my mains, and then like TC2 was like the big thing for me.
I
And
don't
yeah, I was go on, sorry.
I don't even remember what my main game was before TC2. Like I played
I
TC.
do.
I played TC1 for like a good while. I have
uh
like
I
loads
can
on the
relate to
transfer.
Judd, I guess.
Like
what
my main games before were GTA, and then I moved on to Elite, and I spent a significant time in Elite Dangerous, just like a space game. And after getting like burnt out of that game and stuff like that, I was like TC2 was over the horizon, and I viewed that as like my vacation game, kind of like it's like okay, I'm done with all this bullshit from Elite, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna move on. And I was expecting TC2 to be like a complete casual trip for me, completely like no, I didn't expect to actually get into it the way I did. But yeah, I was hyped as hell about the new planes and stuff because for me it was like the idea similar to what Aaron said. Like for me, the idea was that this will help me experience the map, even though it's the same map in a different manner. So in that sense, it'll be a breath of fresh air again because I'll experience the map with verticality and all that.
Mm.
But turns out they never really used it that much. So yeah.
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 Judd has like a real story, except you would have to swap out other games for CS:GO for me. Like it was becoming free to play as well at the end of that year, and yeah, I was kind of done with the game, and then I was just casually like getting ready for TC2 PvP. Like I was making at least maxed out parts. Who knew that it was going to be default max for everybody? I didn't know, for example. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was just slowly getting ready for that. And yeah, I never expected it to be much more than just another racing game where I played a little PvP.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can't even remember like what I was. I can't remember what my main game was before TC2. Like TC2 is just for like the last more than 2 years. It's just been the game that I probably turn on almost every day. Like it's gotten less and less since recent updates, but like even before the game came out, like with the beta and like all the testing and stuff, I'd completed the game already. So I'd done everything. But then when it came out, I still did everything anyway.
You
And
100%
then
it like 3 times.
yeah, something like that. I mean, in terms of 100%, it's like well, I did all the events basically.
Yeah.
But like since then, since the game came out, it's like done all the events, got all the cars, got them all to the max level, and I'm still working on like getting them all with nitrochemists, getting them all recalibrated, and just doing it way too much.
Crazy.
Getting into multiple testings before release was actually one of the reasons why I didn't buy the game on like the first days. I waited those months so I would be closer to PvP, to something actually new for me. Because yeah, most of those like street races and stuff we played on the testings.
Yeah.
I didn't have the dedication like Aaron.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited to any of those. I didn't even like attempt to do any of that because I think at the time I was still playing shooters. I don't really remember. I was playing a lot of different games at that time. I didn't have any main games yet. It wasn't until TC2 came along, actually released, and then I picked it up, I think, that week when it first released. And I started playing that. I never thought I was going to get like up into top, like basically echelon of the game. I wasn't expecting to actually do that. Even for the first year, like I was playing it pretty casually. Like I would turn on every every week I would turn on like 2 or 3 times at least. Then it just got more and more frequent as I started playing more and more of it.
I was just straight up no lifing the game, but like, as a casual kind of, because like before that, like my games were, as I said, GTA and Elite. Both of them, I was more into the combat side. I never viewed a racing game for me as like a competitive thing. For me, racing games are always just open world, cruising around, and that was it. Like I was just cruising. Even the races weren't really much there for me. So, like for me, like unlike Deco and stuff, like PvP not being in there wasn't really a big issue because I never really was into that side when it came to racing games anyway. So I was like pretty much playing TC2 nonstop, getting all the shit, vehicles and stuff like that, playing, driving, and meeting some new friends in the game helped a lot too. We played a lot, and the first month was just me playing the game a lot, like an insane amount, and just like driving around, stuff like that. Yeah.
I can relate to like the competitive aspect. I never viewed the games as competitive, even though I played like a lot of PvP and then some other like grid games. I had some crazy win streaks, but I never actually, did try for that. It was just happening on its own. And like when I was coming across like world record videos and or something, I was like, those people are aliens. I don't want to get into that.
I never thought. I never viewed myself as ever like.
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say it's relatable for me, like because like for me, like before I got to know like TC2, I didn't really have a main game. I was like all over the place. Like I play shooters, I play like stuff like League of Legends or maybe Dota. Then
Oof.
you had stuff like Battle Royale, like Apex, or probably like what do you call that, PUBG and all that. And then but the main part of my whole like that I like gaming was that I was always into like racing games. So like TC2 was probably like one of the things I wanted to play because I did play TC1. But the thing is that I wasn't really like probably Deco said, getting into multiple testings and not getting a game on launch was actually kind of right. I just felt like the game was very empty when the game came out, so that's why I held the game back. And then back then I was still like very hardcore into this one arcade racing game. I did spend a lot of money on that game. Don't want to talk about it.
Wongung.
Yeah, I did spend a ton of that. So like my main game back then was probably that and some other computer games, pretty much. Yeah, that's all from me.
Damn.
Yeah.
GeForce. GeForce? Just reminded me like that it was GTA 5 that was before this for me. It was like no lifing that game. Like
You're actually
like a
on that
second
grind.
job.
You're
Second job.
Relatable.
Like, it's a horrible game. I don't know why like I did that, but it's just like a. And then it just went out. when
Mhm.
TC2 came out.
Yeah. Luckily, I never got into the grinding side of that game. That would have been
Yeah.
horrible.
Ooh.
I
But yeah.
hated that I spent
Yeah.
400 hours in that game.
Yeah, like
For me, I
that
didn't
shit was
like.
crazy.
For me, I didn't. I just like uh, when I played for like the first couple of like maybe up to like 100 hours, I was like, yeah, okay, this is getting to the point like there's no point for me to just keep grinding and then like you spend and all of a sudden you grind again. It's like, bruh. So
Indeed.
so from then
Yeah.
on. So from then on, I just went like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna wait like if there's people, doing modern lobbies and shit. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like that just left that bad taste in my mouth because I'm somebody who was playing the game since the launch, like 2013. Bought it on PS3, PS4, PC. Like bought it 3 times. So
damn, you're actually crazy.
Oof.
like I bought it. Yeah, I've been playing on the same character since launch, and the thing is, like, it left a really bad taste in my mouth, which made me never actually engage with the ground because I was playing during that time where the prices were just starting to get into like stupid levels of pricing, but the money making methods were still like your basic missions and all that. Like there was no CEO hangers or and all that. Like even that is already grindy, but that wasn't there. So you had stuff um, like I remember when the T20 first came out, it was like
Mm,
2.2 plus million. I was like, this is
2.2,
ridiculous for a
2.2, I
yeah. I was like,
remember.
this is
Yeah.
yeah. I remember saying like this is absolutely unacceptable. Like the adder is 1 million, and this thing is just 2.2 million. This is crazy. Like because I'm a boomer player, like, and for me like the adder was like the most expensive car. So I was like, okay, this is like the benchmark. And then they started fucking with the prices.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like at the start, like a lot of people were complaining about like, the grind and everything. And I was like, I'm from GTA 5. This is easy,
yeah.
you know.
It's ironic that we complain about like the grind, like or sorry for me, like that I complain about grind in GTA and then I played Elite and that shit is even worse. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I don't know. I have
Mm.
enough getting into bad games.
I've always
But yeah,
avoided
back
games
to
with grinding. It just never
That's a good
appealed to
thing.
me. Like even
Yeah.
GTA, like I played casually, and then the only reason I started playing it like again, like after like a 6 month break, was because my brother modded my account when he moved it over to PC.
Easy.
Dang.
That was the only reason I started playing it again. And then once like
Awesome.
I messed up and spent too much money and they took it all away, I'm like, oh shit, I guess I'm just never
Yikes.
touching the game again.
Yeah.
I feel that. But yeah, back to TC2. Like I actually like going back to the whole casual competitive thing. Like I just like Deco. Like I never even saw that as like a thing. I was always saw reviewed it as a side thing. I never actually was like, yeah. I was like always like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna bother with that, and not really interested in that. I always thought like a separate thing. And I remember I used to play like traction control off, all the assists off, like complete casual and like stock everything, and that just driving. And it's crazy though that like once PvP came around, that like you end up meeting people, and then it starts snowballing, and then yeah, eventually you end up finding yourself in the same situation that you were in the previous 2 games, even though you didn't want to be, but here you are. And yeah,
So we're talking,
It really did snowball to the point of us meeting here.
yeah.
so we're talking a lot about PvP. What update was that? I don't remember. Let me look at the list.
Demolition Derby
Demolition
update.
Derby.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Gear Rush when that first came out. What were your impressions of that?
I wasn't around, but from what I saw, it was actually like how many people say, and after like I look at it, I was like, yeah, it was actually one of the best free updates to come from them. And yeah, like I felt like they did get some of the things right, even though there was still like a bit of issues here and there. And what else can we think? But I think the only thing that turned me off from the update was that I was wondering like why they still don't have a PvP system. It's like you when you expect when you for me what I expected was when this game was out, you would think like there'd be like a backbone, at least something PvP carried over from TC1. But it took them like what, 6 months, was it 6 months that
Was it? I remember when
or was it a
Demolition
year?
Derby. No,
Half a
Demolition
year.
Derby came out in December somewhere.
It was half a year. They
Yeah, half a year,
were
yeah,
on the
yeah,
plan
half.
of releasing updates every 3 months.
I'm
And this was
gonna like go well into like PvP when we get to Demolition Derby. I don't want to go into like
But yeah,
Uh,
like they took. I was expecting like at least PvP at least come out within the first update or something, because usually my perception, I thinking is my perception is that if let's say PvP is not out like in the when the game is released, probably they're like still trying to polish it up or anything. But yeah, that was the only drawback from the update. I think the rest was fine.
you like that hovercraft came out with it? Like there was actually a new discipline.
I when I first played, I wasn't really a fan. Then it's like slow over time. Like I started to learn and like learn how to play.
The
I
tech.
think I yeah I then and then I end up like, yeah, actually this is kind of fun. Although it gets frustrating at the start. Like you don't know what to do, and or like you don't know how to control. But in the end, it's actually fun and quite technical. I think
Did
still one of the
Mm.
fun disciplines.
they
Yeah.
actually ever changed the handling model for hovercraft at all?
No.
No,
Never
it's
did.
been the same since it came out.
Yeah, they changed some air
Yeah.
physics, I believe, for hovercraft, like the way they like air control or air rotation or something like that. But as far as I remember, no physics change. For
Yeah, they
me,
did not change the disciplines which were out after release.
yeah, for me, the Gator Rush update was like interesting because like when I saw like their plan that they were going to release one new discipline every update, I was just curious. Like I didn't really have any expectations. I was just curious as to okay, what vehicle type is going to come. And when I saw Gator Rush, I was like, okay, that's cool, interesting. And I did enjoy the hovercrafts a lot. Uh, I actually liked them quite a bit. But it's just that I didn't end up spending a lot of time with them simply because the speeds were low, and low speeds are always kind of, at least for me, unexciting. And even though speed is relative, like for example, in the case of Jet Sprint, the low speeds are fine because of the track, the way the track is designed. But I love the hovercraft in the same way I would love like drifting, because that's what they are. Essentially, you drift them, and that was really a fun experience. It was like bumper cars and drifting. As far as the difficulty, like whether they were difficult or not, this is, I feel like, where GTA and Elite helped me a lot to set up like a base bone for all vehicular types. Like, so I didn't really have any issues. I kind of naturally just went into it. So I just kind of knew how to control it, at least like from a base view. Like I obviously wasn't like a god at it or something. I just knew how to drive them. And yeah, like I guess that's where past experiences end up helping you with the ships in Elite, the way they fly, and all the vehicle types in GTA. And I was like, oh, cool, they have hovercrafts now. That's awesome. But that said, I wasn't expecting that. Like hovercraft was a bit unexpected.
Yeah.
So, but I still viewed it because I was still like hyped about the game, because the game was new and I was still like all TC2 fan. Let's go. So I was like looking at them in a positive light still at the time. But still, though, I like them. What I don't like though is that there kind of only is like one hovercraft that's like OP, and well,
Oh, the
the rest are kind
balancing.
of there.
Yeah.
That's like the part of the
It's not
wider
just
HQ.
see, it's not just the balancing though. It's just the speedster just feels so good as well. It feels so nice. Everything else didn't feel.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
like, because like a speedster is not like the best in terms of lateral like cornering. Like I believe there's another one, but the way the speedster felt, it, the weight feeling and everything, that's what I liked, and it ended up me just driving the speedster only.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually, when you speak about that, initially I hated hovercraft because I was playing on that one which you get rewarded with.
Oh.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going through the events with this thing was a real struggle for a new player.
It's just
But
they have
like
no weight
looking back
feeling.
at the update, overall, like they were expanding the idea. And yeah,
Yeah.
in that sense, it was bringing a bit of a confidence that
It's
yeah,
just
they are
like,
going
yeah.
through with the plan.
Yeah, it's just the way the speedster built up inertia, and it had a weighty and drifty feeling to it, like how you would expect from a hovercraft. Hovercrafts are drifty in nature; that's how they work. And also, like, I guess it's also because, like as I said, I like speed. The speedster was the only one that felt like it had power, it had a punch to it. The other ones were kind of just like, yeah, I'm driving a like piece of paper with propellers on it. Doesn't really,
Yeah.
I don't really feel anything. Like I press gas, nothing happens in the corners. I feel like I'm driving paperweight or like super lightweight like paper. The speedster was the only one that felt like, okay, this has mass, this has punch to it, this has feeling to it. So it's like, And it also, I objectively, I like it the most in terms of design as well. That and the other one with the double fans, the double leaks, I believe it's called.
Oh yeah, I like both of those actually.
Yeah, I like those two, my favorite ones.
For me, hovercraft wasn't anything too big. I was like, oh okay, I guess more boats and planes shit. I just don't give a shit about.
Right.
I was mainly there for cars. Like when I saw that, I was like, this is cool. I didn't know about the whole they're gonna release a new like discipline each update. That's kind of news to me.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
like
guess
Yeah,
I
it
was-
wasn't the initial plan, like 3
Yeah.
updates.
Yeah, that was
Each
their
one was gonna be
initial idea to 3 updates, and every new update a new vehicle type or discipline. Let's say that's what their idea was back then.
what? So they did release two. So like, but was it? There's supposed to be a third one, right? Or did that actually? I don't remember.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
supposed to
supposed
be.
to be, but they changed the direction before the
Yeah.
hotshots.
Then
It was
all
gonna be
that
the
happened.
helicopter discipline that everyone said they didn't want from the
No.
survey.
I think it was probably either gonna. I'm thinking it was like gonna be like, because like I saw like the colors in the trailer. It was like blue and it was a red freestyle color, the pink thing, and it was the orange for off road. So considering it was blue, it was probably gonna be next. I was thinking more like MotoGP or like touring bikes or something.
Yeah,
Touring
what we
bikes
got
is
in the end with the inner drive just later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it would have been back then as a separate update. It would have been a completely separate discipline. MotoGP discipline or something like that.
Okay.
Who knows?
I think it's better as a part of the other discipline.
Yeah, because the tracks are the same, so that's why.
Yep.
But
Don't need another Alpha GP.
All right. So moving on to. Oh, do you want to say
Okay.
something?
Yeah, you
My
didn't
bad.
get to say anything.
But go on. Go on.
Anyway, yeah, like from the get-go, we knew what it was going to be because they sort of like put it at the end of the year one trailer. Like, well, they didn't. They put like a bunch of like the free hovercrafts together, just driving, and that was like sort of a hint.
Oh.
So we all kind of knew that it was going to be hovercrafts. So we had something to look forward to. Well, some people did. Like you said, a lot of people didn't like hovercrafts. Still one of those things that a lot of people don't like because it's one of those, I don't know, it's like one of those hard to understand disciplines to control, I guess. A lot of people still struggle
it's not
with
a
it.
car, basically.
Yeah.
That's
And yeah, about the changes, I think as far as I can remember, when we had the hovercraft before, like the ultimate prize,
Yeah.
that had a different handling model, and then it got changed when all the other hovercrafts came out.
Yeah. That
Kind of did get changed, but not really.
Yeah, that's the thing I was wondering about because I remember driving that thing and it didn't feel anywhere as good as driving like the current hovercraft.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it probably wasn't finished in time for the release.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's all right. Like I was able to understand like how they work quite quickly, and I liked it's land and water, and it's you can use like a bunch of different areas
yeah.
for tracks and stuff.
The track
Things.
environment is really well done. I like that.
Yeah.
The fact that they use both land and water, like to show off the vehicle's aquatic and land
And they
capability.
remodeled a bunch of areas.
Yeah,
as
I
well,
also
just-
love the fact that. Sorry for interrupting you. I love the fact that they remodeled the cushions,
Oh,
the cushions, like the rubber cushions of the hovercraft, even of the Sophia Boss one. It had
Yeah.
remodeled its cushions. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So they,
Hmm.
I love
Yeah,
that too.
they remodeled a bunch of like worlds just for
Mhm.
the hovercrafts, just to have more like environment for the tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, are you telling me some of these tracks didn't exist like before this
No.
update came out? Oh, that's crazy.
But areas like the swamp and stuff, they changed a bunch of like
Oh, okay.
I did not know that, for example.
yeah.
Actually, one more thing. What did you guys think about the gold legendary stuff? Because that's where that came with Gator Rush, legendary
Oh, yeah.
difficulty and
Did-
gold loot.
Recalibration wasn't with that, was it?
No,
No.
that was
No,
later on.
Rekill was
Hot Shots.
Hot shots.
yes, with the time when I started playing.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the gold loot? and legendary difficulty is?
It's good, but I kind of think it was probably like a slap in the face for everybody who worked hard to get purple.
Yeah.
It kind of
Yeah.
had to
Sort of
happen
like-
since the usual scale wasn't really used with the standard difficulties.
I mean, I like
I wasn't really like sorry. I wasn't really like not say I wasn't a fan of it. No, I like it, but to me like I do feel like yeah, I think the players who have been playing from the start they did get kind of screwed over. This is like I feel like they should have, like if they I feel like they should have probably implemented it right from the start. But
Mm.
going by their workload, they probably weren't ready at the time when of the release. So I guess they added in like only afterwards.
Yeah.
I can't relate to like how people work hard for purple and then they had to grind again because because when I played at the start I already had things like recalibration and you know getting perfect sets and everything. So I was like already 1 year late to the party.
I played from the beginning, and seeing those gold parts, I was like, oh, finally! Like, I always felt like something was missing from like the part set. Like, purple is really the highest. I'm like, okay. Like to
Yeah, I
to
kind of felt
me,
like
seeing like the new legendary, I was like, oh, finally! Like, but the thing that bugged me the most was like the random element.
Mm.
I was
But it
like,
was
damn,
still random.
it was still like super random, like on what you got and what affects you got. I'm like,
it's just
Yeah.
more rare now than it was before. So that randomness got worse because it's the fact that it's more rare than the
Mhm.
pink ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's funny because like I completely forgot about the legendary loot. I was like all focused on like experiencing the hovercraft and stuff, and then like after a while I was like, wait a second, oh, this is a thing. Oh, legendary loot, huh? But my only thing was like, okay, so this is a thing. So what's the point of blue and pink now? I guess they're just
Oh
useless.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I felt like it was. I mean, it makes sense from a looter shooter perspective, right? That you have the rarest route being the best of the best. But I still kind of felt like, as you said, like players getting fucked. I was like, man, the pink and blue loot are kind of worthless now. Like the colors mean nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe if they could have repurposed them into something else or something, who knows?
Which they eventually did.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it's nice to have more variety. Like you could just have a fixes before, and now you've got like set bonus, which is nice.
that
But
was nice.
a
Yeah.
lot of people do not like those anymore because of how badly that balances things. So,
I
chemist.
actually
We'll
didn't
get to
mind it
that
at
later.
all
Chemist
in the
Lamar.
start. I
We'll get
think
to
it
that
really
later, probably.
shows like the difference of the mindsets. Like I didn't really care in the beginning. Like I was just collecting them slowly, but not really doing anything with them. But then,
Yeah.
like half a year later, I actually got one good result, and that's where it actually came to my understanding that hey, this kind of sucks without recalibration.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I gotta can relate to that. Like being the way I played the game, I didn't even give a shit about my pink affixes. All I cared about is that they're all the same color. Like I wanted, I remember I didn't even care. I remember I made a blue Agera with all blue parts, and then I made a yellow, the street yellow Regera with all gold parts. They were obviously not recalibrated. The set bonus wasn't even active. I just had them because my color go brr. That's it. Like I didn't even look at the affixes part and stuff that came much later to me as well. Once I started like trying to go a bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. I want to move on to Demolition Derby, the big one everyone has thoughts about.
Mm.
And I also need to go to the bathroom. Fuck.
Well, let's say that I was really surprised by the way PvP turned out. First off, ditching the contact PvP. I wasn't used to that, like Ghost PvP as a main thing, and I really liked it. And then the second thing, of course, maxing the things for everybody by default was
Mm.
was again a new concept for me.
All right, sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta go with the bathroom.
yeah, run.
We'll
Yeah,
wait.
BRB.
Should we take a break, Lamar?
Just take
So
over from
yeah,
me,
like
Lamau.
We
I
can just
ended
talk
up
about
really
some.
liking the base concept of the PvP, basically.
We can talk about some like stories and stuff while Feather is not here, so we don't move on to the next topic
Well,
without him.
Sure.
Like
okay.
maybe what's some yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go back something like Jot was saying something about like world records and stuff, and then people are like aliens. For me, uh, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm the kind of guy like when I achieve something, I'm like I really feel like I work really hard for it. So
Mm.
it's like for me, I never my goal back then, I never really thought of, like having a world record. I just wanted to like play the game, just be like kind of good at the game, decent at the game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was like my main objective. So it's like uh I never had I never had a thought to the point like I could actually be like in that position to like go for a world record.
I could relate to
Uh,
that.
yeah, like like I said, coming from it was like I said before, previously I had a main like before like TC2, I had a main game, and it was like what Feather said, it was an arcade game, which I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like spent a lot of money on it. Back then I was actually like chasing a world record for like a year. So when I finally got that world record, it was very like very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I got it, I asked myself like, is this what it feels like to get a world record? Like you
Nice.
get, you put it all the sweat, and then and then you finally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when like I that's when like I had a mentality like, okay, if I can do this, I could probably like go for the world record.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah,
the
like mm,
my
yeah, go ahead.
mentality was in that way as well. I guess now I can see why I ended up like snowballing into where I am now. Because like for me, it wasn't really about getting a record or being good. It's just that being good was just another way for me to enjoy the game. Because in my mind, the more you are like the more you know the more you are in tune with the physics of the game, the more you can enjoy the game. It's like a car in real life. A person who really truly knows how to use the car and put the car to its limits will like inevitably enjoy the car more than a person who doesn't understand the car. So for
Yeah.
me it was about like learning the game just to have more fun in it. It's the thing I had from GTA, because it's like in GTA there were certain things which if you put enough time and effort into them and learned them, they were actually a lot of fun and they were cool to mess around with, and that kind of happened. So yeah, like that was my thing. It's like learning the physics for the sake of having more fun, and then getting good was just it was a necessity to do that kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was kind of a bit of a shock moving me towards it, like starting a minor drift towards being competitive.
Mm.
I think that's the first racing game where I actually played a lot in PvP, but like not starting as a player who, played the game from like first days. Before that I played Grid 2, Grid Autosport and some other games. And yeah, I was a day one player there, so it was like a really gradual kind of move there. And even if I met like some of the best players in those games, like it wasn't shocking to me. I
Right.
just knew that they sank that many more hours, and I was kind of understanding what they were doing. But in TC2, no, I was a late comer to it, and then like day two or something, I met IMAX and Wyra at the same time.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Mm.
safe to say that I got a reality check. Like before that, it was like very mixed
Ah,
results, but like towards the top, even as a newbie, it felt really, really nice. And then, yeah, I got served the reality and started improving slowly, like discovering that the game has pro settings and stuff, like
Mhm.
watching some runs from people who are like at least somewhat good. For example, I did learn some stuff from people like Paragliber or Akar a little bit, like the very basic stuff about the pro settings. And like starting from there, I started trying different tools and finding my personal preference.
It's amazing how late I got into tuning into this game.
Yeah,
Like I believe 1,000 hours. I had about 1,000 hours in the game, and that's where I first realized how overpowered camera is. Because I lately joined the TC2 Discord, and I was looking at just all the channels that were there in the Discord. And I remember this was around the time where the RS5 was newish, and I still wasn't using tunes. And I remember seeing in the Pro Settings channel a tune from GeForce. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can look at this tune and see what the basic tuning things are and what makes what happen. So I looked at his tune and I noticed it's like 0-0 camera. I was like, because I never stance camera because I hated the look of it. Like I saw in the settings that the lateral grip was moving and stuff like that. Like that, that the camber was moving. I was like, okay, the lateral grip was moving, but I was just like, this looks garbage. I'm not going to use it like this. And I didn't actually expect it to have such an insane impact. But then I tried GeForce's tune. I was like, holy shit, this is actually so much better. And then I realized that. And then I remember going back to my Hurricane and putting that camber on. I was like, whoa, this is like a different world. It really is. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can remember something connected to the GeForce as well. Like the pro settings and stuff were still like pretty minor drift. Let's say that I still get like a similar-ish PvP pace back then when I unlocked all those stuffs, but it wasn't very nearly like a world record pace or something, which we can do now, like most of the people in this chat at least did. And yeah, GeForce was the guy who actually completed that drifting towards something for me when he explained some things about that one just track for me. That's
I remember asking GeForce, like, bro, how does the suspension work? Like, I remember first time messaging him, and he explained to me what does what, and kind of like got the basics down at the time. But
he was really helpful.
Indeed. Actually, speaking of that, like, since like Feather isn't here yet, I wanted to see like what were some of your stories the first time like you went into PvP. Like, what was the first time? Any interesting stories you had?
For me was my first PvP was actually during a free weekend. That's all I'm gonna say. I did kind of like went in. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the same. This is almost like the same PvP I played in TC1, but slightly different because now we have like
because it's clean. Because it has a clean overlay now.
Now we have only street race and not like we had dirt, we had like red and all that shit. So like it was only street race. So for me like okay, this looks fine and I just play with it. My first impression was like okay, I thought like I was really good at the game, and then the second thing I know is that the tracks in this game I don't know a single shit. So I'm like that was kind of like the reality check for me. So it's like that's when like I just started like improving and learning pretty much, not just in PvP but like outside of PvP as well. Yeah, that's probably that's for me, I guess.
Bruh,
I see.
why is that what subbing to this channel?
Crazy, man.
Stop.
I guess I did tell my craziest story already about like literally meeting people who are still pretty much the best people I saw in this game. Day 2 of playing PvP.
Right.
Oh, that's where you guys are at? You guys are on PvP?
But since we were gone, I decided to just like tell some story, like everybody tell some stories about what they had in PvP.
Shit. Alright, I'll tell you mine. I got clapped by GeForce crouching on a fucking bike.
Lamau. My story actually was crazy because like I actually met Deco before he knew me or before who I was, and at the time I didn't know it was Deco. I just remember the name Deco Station. I just remember that name. And this was a time where like this was the first time I went into PvP. And we had no clue what the meta was, like me and my friend. We actually thought the Audi R8 and the LaFerrari were meta back then for some reason. And I remember I remember going there and I saw this Plaid guy who was Deco. I was like, oh shit, this is a Plaid guy. He's a tryhard. And my friend was like, yo, let's pick meta. Let's go. So I was White Rock Hills. I picked the LaFerrari and I was going and I fucking smashed the wall like that, that high speed right hander. I fucking smashed into that garage wall.
Yeah.
And I remember after that having some doing a race on Coconut Grove, and we couldn't keep up. Like we were stock tune, no assist plebs, and Deco was just like slapping us, and he was in his R8, and that's why I was like, oh, this motherfucker tryhard fucking using the R8. I swear to God, because I thought R8 was meta back then. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was a lot of the consensus back then. Like R8
Yeah.
and what was it? Yeah, Huracan.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a crazy thing. And I actually remember meeting Feather once in a PvP lobby, and this was again the time where me and Feather had never met each other. Like we never talked, and this was like the first time I saw Feather 268 in a lobby.
It's crazy that I met everyone, and the only people I've ever made actual reached out to were Gron and GeForce. Everyone else was just fucking irrelevant to me for whatever reason. Like they remember me, I'm like, I don't
actually
remember you.
misremembering, Feather. You don't remember how it happened with me.
I don't remember.
I was just meta abusing on you when you were just vibing with like Kawasaki KF450 or how is it called? Driving stuff like the Viper.
Yeah.
And I was just no chill, fucking Augusta, Huracan, just forcing you to use meta too, and you had me for some reason. Like I don't know what's the logic. Were you thinking, oh, this toxic guy, that's Adam? Because you literally reacted to my picks. You changed your picks.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. I don't know why. I just don't remember yours for whatever reason. Maybe it's because you didn't have any type of name recognition for whatever reason.
The name was different. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's just that
I remember Gron because he was slapping me in a bunch of different cars. And then I remember GeForce because of I think the Spotlight just came out for him recently. During that time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I played PvP so rarely, so I never really met a lot of people. For example, I met Hiron so late. Like it's crazy how late I actually met him. Like I think I met Hiron only once I got to know everyone, the gang pretty much. But when I remember meeting Feather, the only person I had really contact with and talked to actively was Deco. It was the only one I actually played with. And I didn't know who Feather was. I didn't know who he was. I thought it was so random. And this was when the Cayman Wasp came out. And I remember we were both doing Cayman Wasp on Big Bend Observatory. And I was like, fuck, this guy's good. What the fuck? It was just so funny back then. Because I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you met Giron when he was already good.
Yeah.
No, I actually met Giron with Kyle. That was during the time he kept on changing his name. Now he doesn't play anymore. Rip.
For me, throughout the entire game, the only person I knew was GeForce because back then I didn't have any I wasn't in the TC2 Discord. I didn't know anyone outside. And the only connection I had with GeForce was because I was in ISAT's Discord. He was a moderator there, so whenever I ask stuff about TC and I say I'll be like, bro, just go ask GeForce. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna go and ask him. But yeah, I think after that, the first few people I met in PvP, the first that I played was probably GeForce and Paragliver. They saw me they saw me streaming one time, so they decided to hop in. So, but that was I already knew them from way back, so it's fine. But if you were to say the people that I really met in PvP, I think the first two would probably be Feather and Jiron because they were on. I don't know if you remember you guys were playing you guys were playing Big Ben, and then I think all of a sudden you guys were saying, whoa, there's this plat that just came in and it has a girl profile picture. I remember back then.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, I was like, is this a chick that we're just slapping them up?
Yeah, because back then I didn't want to had my own identity, so I just put up a fake name and had someone's face there, so I just I kind of feel guilty that I did put a fake thing there, but I because I wasn't I didn't want to get known, so I think that time I joined the lobby. I think Jiron was streaming. So I went to follow him on Twitch as well because my Twitch back then was already my name, KFC Miku. So he was like wondering. So Jiron was on stream like wondering like, why is this guy so familiar? And then I think, and then I forgot who was it, you or John that said something like, oh, isn't he like in Dream server or anything? So I just like I just like didn't say much. So and then after like that race, you guys sent me a friend request. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I think it was only Jerome who sent me friend request. Then like a while later, I only added Feather. Which was yeah.
That
That's
was
how I
during the
got to
time I was
know.
questioning your gender for a while. I was being that
Wow.
guy. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. He even questioned me. Feather questioned my gender. Like, are you really a girl? And I said, man, and then my reply was just like, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, like so like the over time I started to know more people. I got to know like Deco when I came to Dreams Discord and probably in TC2 Discord. TC2 Discord back then I haven't talked to him much. It was just like a fair bit of like exchange. Nothing.
Mm,
It was only like when I started like getting into conversations with GeForce and Deco, and I'm like, yeah, actually, yeah, I started to know like more people from there.
right. I met most of you guys through PvP event. It's crazy. Like, only one that I met outside of PvP event, like that I actively used to play with occasionally, was Deco. And everyone else I met in PvP event. I met Hiron in a PvP event. I met you in a PvP event. I met Aaron. I met Feather in a PvP event. Like once, like by meeting, I mean like adding them and actively knowing them and like interacting and socializing with them. Yeah, that's crazy. PvP
Okay.
event
Yeah,
had introduced me to most of you guys, and
it's
I'm
better
glad I
to have it
enjoyed.
in PvP.
Yeah, I'm glad I joined because I was like, I saw Deco joining. I was like, okay, Deco's playing PvP event. This is prime opportunity for me to learn. So I always went into PvP event and played with Deco and Cole. Yeah, it was fun.
I don't
Crazy how
know
demolition.
anybody.
You don't remember?
Like from PvP,
Oh,
I mean, like I have no story. Like all you guys have like stories. Oh, I met this guy from PvP. I'm like, I met a bunch of bronze fours. Like, and then, well, I guess like the PvP nights that the server does hold, maybe I did meet
yeah.
a few people from there. And then like it's all the people who've no life to the PvP, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. 'Cause I'm getting destroyed. But yeah, PvP's nah, like I can't even like say that sentence. No, PvP is not good. 6 months. What I don't know where the development went because there's nothing there that would suggest that 6 months was spent on it.
I was
So,
expecting them
It feels
to
like
go more with it than it just completely dying day one, basically. Like
pretty
it's
much.
still the same. The only thing that's changed since was they moved the HUD around and then they put chat in.
Mm.
That's
they
mainly it. And,
separated bikes and cars.
oh yeah, they changed around some of the playlists and tracks and whatnot, but that's it for PvP since launch.
And in comparison to the previous game, there's no private lobbies, there's no crew versus crew, there's no unique events for PvP, there's no rewards. It's like, okay, so 6 months, where did that 6 months go? Like, whoa, like why wasn't it here at launch? Like, because there's less stuff in here than there is in the previous game.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, a lot of people ask me like why I don't play with PvP, and it's like, I've done everything. Like I've got Plat 1. There's nothing left for me to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm. That's
Did you guys
understandable.
already talk about Demo Derby?
No, not
No,
yet. We
not
were like
really.
just
we
talking
just
about the
started on the
stories.
PvP.
Yeah.
So yeah, Demo Derby was a thing.
It was.
I had like when I first got the idea of Demolition Derby, like when I saw it, I was thinking like Burnout.
Hmm.
As like one of my favorite things to do as a kid since video games was smashing cars up in open world games and like looking at the damage model and stuff like that. Like just driving them around, smashing them around. So I was like, okay, this is cool. It was a bit anticlimactic because I was like, okay, new update, cool, let's see what it is. And then it was Demolition Derby. So it kind of like, I didn't expect it that way. So I was like, I kind of like, my hype kind of went down a little bit. But again, I was still like TC2 fanboy. So I try to look at it in a positive light and stuff. And I tried to like experience it. And I actually ended up liking it. I was like, okay, this is something new and cool. And I looked at the damage model. I was like, oh, that's crazy. They have like this insane, amazing damage model of these on these cars. It's awesome. But I quickly kind of abandoned Demolition Derby myself because the cars just handle like soap bars and wet bathtubs. So
Yeah.
I was like, there's not really fun driving them around, smashing them around when they handle like shit, So
When I first played
Same.
PvP, I didn't care much for the point like system of hitting cars and all that shit. Like that didn't appeal to me. When I was thinking about Demolition Derby, I was thinking of like Flat Out 2 style Demolition Derby. That's
That's
what
just
I
asking for too much.
yeah, a good Demolition Derby. Yeah, no, and that's what I was thinking. But then
I
like
was
when I
thinking
saw
of
that, I
a
was like,
deathmatch, like a free-for-all deathmatch, like kill someone and then they're gone forever, and then that's how you win. Like you gotta kill everyone and be
yeah,
the last
that's
one remaining.
that's how it's like in
Yeah.
Flat Out 2.
That was my idea as well. The only reason why I thought it was this idea because back then there was this one PlayStation 2 game. I think it wasn't really popular around. It's called Test Drive Eve of Destruction. So basically, like it was a demo derby game. Like you go into arena and then you just be the last one standing. But when I saw what demo derby was in TC was like in TC2, I'm like, bruh, you're just gonna get infinite respawns. I'm like, what what bullshit is this? You know?
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind all of that. I was like, speaking of the TC2 fanboy part, like I wasn't anything like this. I was kind of in the middle all the time, and that's part of what keeps me going, I guess, in a way. Like I didn't really have like that height to sink from, didn't have that fall down over the long time of the game. So when the Demolition Derby came out, it wasn't like anything amazing, but it was kind of fun with friends when I did complete some events with them. And yeah, I didn't mind it at all, just because of that. Didn't really expect much.
What I liked were the races from there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. We have ramps and stuff like that. I thought they would expand on that too, but I mean, we
Yeah,
only
the
got
one
one.
called, I believe it's the Ring.
Yeah, the ring where it's just the oval, right?
Yeah, the ring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the best part about it.
I went
Like
for a
the
world
only part
record
which
on
I
that
actually
shit.
liked.
I went for a world record on that shit. Shit was so fucking bold. That RNG is just so mad in that. I hate it. I
I
am
was
still
expecting like
when I first set that
Yeah.
record, I still had like a second on the table because I had to
easy,
adjust my line a couple of times.
classic
Yeah.
RNG.
Yeah, classic
Yeah,
RNG.
I was expecting like dirt style races, like dirt spec or rallycross style races, like in the mud or something with demolition derby cars as well. Kind of like in Wreckfest, you do, you have like these dirt mud tracks or something. I was expecting like that too, but looks like it was just like arena fighting, and then there were a few races which are like super closed off, just the 8 area. That's it.
I think Demolition Derby is quite interesting because, well, it was the first thing that nobody knew what to expect. We knew that hovercrafts were coming because they teased it, but like after that, we didn't know anything. So for like months before, a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, it would be really cool if they do like Demolition Derby," and a lot of people, a lot of realistic people were like, "Yeah, like that's ever going to happen. They'd have to do so much work making fake cars and making a damage model, and it's never going to happen." And then like it did show up, and a lot of people were surprised. A lot of people were wondering how it was going to work. For the most part, like the idea is good. I feel like this is the crew too in a nutshell. It's like the idea is good, the execution is lacking.
Yeah.
So it's like Demolition Derby is cool, and like the damage model is really good. Like, but I don't know, just like the way the like you guys have said, like the cars handle and like the way the AI works is really horrible. Like normal is piss easy, like you can destroy them easily, and then like ace, it's like they will
Hunt
just
you.
hound you, kill you at any chance. Like you can't get to them because they're always behind you.
You breathe, you die. Basically.
Like more and more things like developed, like getting in with a bunch of friends and like letting each other kill each other and like just getting loads of points by doing that instead. And it's like, yeah, it was a good idea. It just didn't hit its mark, unfortunately. And a lot of people just don't do it, don't play it anymore.
That's a good
unless it's in a
trend.
summit.
That's a good trend. A great idea. Just play ruin also.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
They
yeah.
did add some good things, like the dirt track event they added later. I'm terrible with like the event names and stuff, but like they
White
added.
Mountain Dirt Race.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
White
one's pretty
Mountain. Yeah.
No, that one's dog shit too. The checkpoint placement is so
Okay.
fucking garbage. Yeah.
For me, the track was okay if it wasn't for the cuts.
Hmm.
It's kind of nice that they brought it back from TC1.
Was it from
It was
TC1?
actually it was from TC1 from Story Mission. I'm not sure if you all remember.
Don't remember.
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in the dirt spec.
yeah. That was actually a nice touch. Nice to see that it gets reused.
Yeah.
Kind of shame about the checkpoint placement and everything, but I guess that's probably asking for too much.
Yeah. In
No,
the
it's
end,
not
both
asking for
the
too much.
PvP and the discipline turned out to be way too broken. Like, despite the update being kind of meaty by the features it delivered, like they were way too broken. So I'd say that Get a Rush is a better update just because of that.
And then the other big thing was Recal, which we all waited for a long time.
Wait, Recal
That's
came out
already
PvP?
hot shots.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
hot shots.
Yeah.
That was hot
Yeah.
shots. Yeah,
Wait,
I'm losing it, man. I can't even remember what we had in each of the updates.
So that was basically it for Demolition Derby, right?
Yep.
PvP
Yeah, I think
and-
so.
Pretty much.
Bunch
Alright.
of cars.
Guess we move into 2019.
Yeah.
How did you guys start off the year for that? Do you ever remember?
Same as now, pretty much.
For me, I was like I said, I came from Forza, so I was still like very into Forza. But then like towards half of 2019, I just not saying half like somewhere like I think when Hot Shots was announced and like and then they had and then TC2 was on sale on your Uplay, which is now Ubisoft Connect. They had a sale back then, so it's like yeah, maybe like it's high time, give the game another go since now they like changed so much from what I played at the start.
Hmm.
Even though I only played from the free weekend, so and at the time I was already like kind of didn't want to touch Forza anymore. Mainly was because is that the management there has been kind of trash, and it's still kind of trash now. So I guess like yeah, I kind of made a maybe a worse or even good choice, but it ended up becoming more a game that I played more than Forza, which
Mm.
is which is kind of weird because you think like people who are in Forza will probably like have more time there than in the crew, and whereas I'm just like I just jump ship, so it's like yeah.
I always saw
Yeah.
the Forza community as kind of elitist game too. What racing games they play.
I mean, it depends on like who are you going up against with. Like, there are some like, I think one of the I think one of the things that throw people off the elites is that because in Forza there's this one club that's kind of famous. It's called 1%. So it's like so it's like a bunch of like top players are there. Not like they're really skilled. Uh, so I'd say like I think like people think like because top players are all there, they don't want to invite nobody or random. So you just think like they kind of have that mentality like, oh yeah, I'm the best, and everyone is just trash.
Yeah.
But in reality, they aren't. It's just like they're kind of like nice people, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mm.
And for me, 2019 started just as the previous one ended. PvP every day, but there is actually one significant thing which happened before the hotshots when they were releasing new events, like 2 events every week, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Mm.
was actually a pretty good period because we had like races to look up to every single week.
For me, I don't even remember what happened during that year. I think I was.
They were slapping those sprint races left and right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was learning the new tracks. I think that was the start of when I started to do the chart for PV. No, for the meta chart, the meta list for
The
Big Ben.
timesheet.
Yeah, the timesheet.
Yeah.
I think that's about when I started. Is during this year, but during 2019. I don't remember when.
It was a little later. It was after the hotshots.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll talk about that when we get there.
But yeah, there were some okay events. Like the quality of them was up and down, but in general, they are better events than what we got after in like late 2019 and the 2020. Those events before hotshots were definitely way better than that. So yeah, it was a pretty good time for the game. It actually gave me, plenty of hope because like having more races is one of the main things I was looking forward to. With the update model of the game,
Yeah.
like new races coming in every now and then.
During that New
But
Year's
yeah, now it's
time,
kind of not the case.
did we didn't have any information yet on the next update, right? Or was there a teaser out by then? No.
No, I don't think so.
At some point, they did one of those Ivory Tower streams where they did say that they changed direction for the
Mm.
hotshots.
Mm.
So wasn't going to be like that
Mm.
update that they promised, but they are delivering a big one just a little later.
Because people constantly like to remind everybody that they like missed their mark of like every 3 months or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like March. I think was the next. Oh, January, February. Yeah, I think it was a month late or something. It's supposed to be every 3 months, but it came
Yep.
out 4 months after the previous update.
And basically after that moment, they sometimes announce schedules, but
Mhm.
nothing's really guaranteed anymore.
Mm. Yeah.
During this time, the only thing that a lot of people were still playing was PvP and just the main game, right? Some of didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, so like we're all just kind of chilling, waiting, grinding.
Yeah, at
Pretty
least they
much.
did give us those events. That was a nice touch. Now we
Yeah.
don't get the same treatment.
I mean, a lot of people were still complaining because it was just street race, pretty much just street race. All
Yeah, that's the point where the initial idea, the plan has changed. So the initial idea of the game was kind of
Mm.
going like to the wayside, basically. So
Yeah.
it's somewhere else now.
2019, like going into it, was like kind of hopeful, I suppose. Like the first two updates
Yep.
were good, but not as good as they could have been. So it was like sort of looking forward to what could be next, but like having no information was
Mm.
kind of worrying that
I
you don't
guess
know
by
what
now
was going to
we can start saying about the hotshots.
Yeah.
Like on that point, yeah, maybe some of the things were concerning, like you said, but at the same time, at the very least, the update itself was very meaty in its contents. There was a lot happening in the game at the time, and that
Yeah,
was promising in a way.
Radical also mentioned that we forgot to talk about the wall friction that came with PvP. That was
It was
still
the
in
best.
that was still in effect during that time, right? Like in the beginning of
Yeah.
2019.
It's before the hotshots.
It was complete overkill, but I still loved it because it made tracks that would otherwise be complete resident sleeper interesting. For example, what do you call it? Along the Mississippi and stuff, all those high speed corners where there's like those railings and stuff like that. They were all of a sudden like, "Holy shit, this is intense! If I don't do this right, I'll die."
Yeah, all
Right.
those pieces of them, the split up ratings were
Yeah,
super scary.
like there were like in tracks like that were actually scary, and like tracks like Everglades were like, okay, there's some things involved in this, and it was nice because like if, for example, like when you were when you were against meta spammer hurricanes all the time who were just in high speed tracks, there were no corners, so they could just sit in their slip all day. They would get punished when there was a corner that eventually arrived. Like for example in Everglades, they would slam into the wall and they would die. And it was kind of the thing I liked most about the wall riding fix is that it rewarded clean driving, not just fast. Even if you
Yeah.
weren't fast, right? As long as you knew how to drive clean and stay on the road, you were rewarded for that, right? With decent pace. Now it's like you don't really give a shit about clean driving. It's just go bang balls to the walls as fast as you can. It doesn't matter.
Back
And
then, there was no off-road slowdown as strong as it was now, at least.
yeah.
Like, yeah, even then you could, kind of save yourself if you just go into the corner early, especially if there's
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would depend. But there were a few corners, for example, like in Everglades, there was a corner that was blocked off with the guardrails on both
yeah.
sides,
Yeah.
like a high-speed left-hander, and you had to stay on the road on that corner. And also, like you got to remember, back then off-road grip was shit. Like your car was pretty much like dog shit at turning. So
Yeah.
you could save yourself on some corners, but I just love the fact that you had to drive clean. Clean driving was another factor that determined your success rate and stuff like that. And the fact that clean driving was rewarded completely. Now, as I said, even if you're a fast driver, clean driving is never truly rewarded, and that's kind of what I find sad, really, because clean driving should be rewarded in every game, whether it's arcade or not.
Yeah, I feel at that point the game was pushing me way more.
Yeah.
So yeah, they ruined it with patches.
I mean,
All right.
I can 100%. Sorry, Feather, for cutting you off.
Yeah.
I can 100% understand the idea of why they had to like tone it down. I can understand that maybe like it was occasionally a bit overkill. For example, sometimes if you like were high speed, you just scrape a tiny little bit of the wall and that minus 300 kph like that right there, right? So I can understand that. Problem is like they just went from, as Deco said, extremes. They went from extreme wall riding to no wall riding back to almost the same level of wall riding, depending on the car you have. Like, U-turns are still almost as fast as they were on release, really. Like, U-turns are still almost that way. And it's just a shame, like, they couldn't have found a better middle ground than what they did now, which is, like, it's just whack. It's like, like you get slowed down now by walls sometimes, but you don't feel it. You don't really feel that. Whereas the wall riding nerf was like, oh shit, I hit a wall. What the fuck am I doing? Maybe I shouldn't hit that wall next time. Maybe I should drive clean. Now it's like, tap. Shit. Well, minus like 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. No big deal. And back then it was like, fuck, like hit the wall.
Yeah, hit a wall one time and that's it. You're gone. You're rich.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like you had to be a clean driver. So that's nice because you didn't have to be fast. As long as you drove clean, you were rewarded. But yeah, now it's just
And
no
you could even
rewarding.
abuse that. My
'Cause,
staff
yeah,
was always taking it really close
Yeah,
to
because that
baiting people
would
in.
reward people who had experience in other racing games, who followed the racing line, who followed clean driving and stuff like that. Now those people don't really get rewarded, really, because like if you back out of a corner, you can't really. It's like just pussy mode now. It's like, yeah, you can't, you didn't tap that wall anymore. Because it's like there's no punishment really for that. You can do whatever you want. You have to pretty much balls to the wall all the time.
The problem lies in like two places. I feel like one is the game. Like when they put out the wall riding fix, then most people who take the game seriously were okay with it. But that's because like not to go anywhere near the walls. The game and how it relates to its world objects, they're not always very accurate. So sometimes you wouldn't have to touch the wall for the effects of the wall slowdown to apply to you. And that's why people didn't want this fix, because sometimes you can visibly not touch the wall, but you have touched the wall, and it would apply the slowdown to you.
Are you talking about
So
the
it's
bumblebees, or are you
so
talking
it's
about
something
like?
like Bumblebee.
No, before bumblebees, like some walls, like you can notice it a lot in like drift events. Like you can
those.
technically touch them,
Yeah.
and then you like things applied to your car.
That's part of the reason why I understand why there had to be a rework of that. It's just just
Basically,
overdid
for
it.
that fix to have gone into place, the game would have had to they would have had to rework how objects interact with your car, and they had to make it like pixel perfect.
Yeah.
There couldn't be any sort of leeway that the game had, and that's why it didn't stick, because a lot of people complained that they weren't touching walls, but they were getting the touch effect, basically, which has been a problem for the game for a long time. But yeah, and you can see that with bumblebees, which have a massive area of effect.
They're like 2 or 3 times larger than they're visually.
Yeah.
Fucking
I don't know. I still feel like they could have come up with a in between medium slowdown still.
I've said this before. I don't know if everyone's heard it before, but what I would like to have seen was like a friction, built up friction, basically. Like I'm fine with how it is now. Yeah, like if you start wall right, it gradually gets more and more grippier, so you like start slowing down faster and faster.
Like if you touch, the game doesn't care. If you properly wall ride, the game will grind you to a halt. That's the best kind of system you can have, in my opinion.
But that could also encourage a lot of wall bouncing.
Wall banging, yeah.
People used to wall bang, and it would just.
That's a big problem actually with the game still, even now. Like there are some places like that. Plus the bounce itself, it's not punishing to like the intentional ones, let's say that. But when you touch it unintentionally, like the smallest tap, and you have the steering on, it will just kill you. Like that's the weirdest thing. Bounce really has to go. Like it would both reduce the bounce cornering when people actually abuse it, and it will stop like unnecessary punishing of players for like light touches.
Yeah. Like I think the friction build up mechanic is probably the best way to implement it. Like so you could still ride some walls like where the hairpin is so narrow and you're coming at such a speed that the friction slowdown might just not have time to build up. But still, like I still feel like it would have been a better idea. But I guess for that reason, the initial wall riding nerf was good. That like wall riding was just dead in the corner, like no impossible. As for the wall bouncing, like how would you even stop an object from like bouncing too hard? Like you would have to change some big things in the physics, like the buoyancy of the object of your car, the weight or something. Like because like
They did change it already. Like that violent bounce back. It was adjusted like somewhere in the hot shots as well, like somewhere in 2019. That stupid light touching and just spinning became a thing back then.
I see.
What's funny though is that became like a double-edged sword. I forget which rally, not rally. I forget what event.
Cross.
Yeah, what rallycross event it was, but it was one of the shorter ones where you would just on the first like hairpin turn, you bounce off the rock.
Damn.
All right, let's actually move into hot shots.
We're kind of discussing it already, to be honest.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Hot shots. Well,
yes.
Crazy update. A lot of content. Biggest thing for me was recalibration as well. Like, it was like, wow, I can finally aim for perfect sets. It's awesome, nice. I don't have to infinitely grind for getting the right affixes.
Actually, I think,
and then yeah, and then summits were a thing. It's funny. I actually was a player. I barely paid attention to summits. I didn't really care. Like I never really played TC1 Wild Run that much. So I didn't really know what summits were. I never really cared for them. I just thought them, okay, this is just side activity of do these events, get some rewards, like whatever. I didn't care until they started like giving cars, like unique cars out. the main thing was for me though is like just the cars that were coming with hot shots and the the hot like the nitrochemist, not nitrochemist, the recalibration affixes. The fact you could get nitrochemist perfect, which was actually everyone could get it, so not just the people who grind all day. You still had to like do a lot because like I remember the maximum cost for if you hit the maximum cost while recalibrating, it was like 42K. You could spend like
yeah,
40.
Yeah, it
You
was.
could spend it was 42K, which was like insane. You could spend like 40 million, like one or two sets, like which I did. I had 40 million when the update came out. I blew all of it on like 2-3 sets, like every single bit of it. It was crazy, and it's so funny because I scammed myself so hard because I thought scrap was gonna be like a big deal, right? I thought scrap was gonna be a bigger deal, like just as big of a deal as money.
Mm.
So what I did is I bought scrap. I bought scrap.
Yeah.
I had 50 million. I spent 10 million on scrap. I was like, okay, I'm fucking bloated with
Wait,
scrap now.
wait. I thought
No.
scrap came out later. I thought it was only
No,
money.
it came with hot shots.
Did it?
Yeah,
Hot
it
shots.
has
It's-
to
yeah.
come Rico, yeah.
scrap came
They
out.
they readjusted the scrap requirement, like the cost of the.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't notice it the first time because
but
it was
like
so
it's
minuscule.
it's just funny because like it's like 42,000 for recal, and then the scrap is like 300. Like, bro, like I just scammed myself so hard. It was so funny.
I did an overkill as well about that. Like I had the entire disciplines with like random goals, right? Especially the street race and the hypercar, like 100 plus cars of just parts, and I deleted most of them to gain scrap. And that's why I never bought scrap because I deleted so many goals, like more than 1,000 probably.
For me it was, well, I was still like in the midst of like grinding disciplines, so like scrap to me was kind of rolling in. But at the same time, like when I started recalibrating, I'm like, oh no, I don't have much. And then like over time, like I think give it like maybe like 3 months or 6 months, I just found myself like, hey, I actually have so much scrap that I don't know what to do with these. I
Yeah.
could probably like just sit down and recal, but after I think about the recalibrating time, I'm like, yeah, this trash is this isn't worth doing to me.
Yeah, and that was mentioned that too. The time it takes for the fucking menus to actually
The time ended up being way too big.
just time to sit there and hold the button and then wait for the next one to appear and then hold again because you don't want it.
Yeah.
And now some of us are sitting on the money caps and not even spending it on that because the process itself is just not worth it. You could play the game instead. That's the main issue. It's taking way too much time from the game.
Yeah. I just find scrap to be funny because I just didn't notice it when it first came out because scrap was just a non-issue because of how small the cost was. Like I don't
One
remember.
thing that still like plagues us even to this day, like how like this has been out for like almost 2 years now, and like one thing they never bothered to do is like write down or even visually explain how recalibration works, what scrap is for. Like we still get people to this day.
Yeah,
Like,
people
what's
are still
scrap?
asking.
What's recal? What's this like system? And we have to keep going through it. They never explained it properly.
It's
Yeah.
not even in the tutorial. Like it's nothing. It's not
Nope.
mentioned there at all.
Nope.
What the fuck?
It's
Weird.
just handed. It's just there. Just
There
ha-
was
Just
there
half-assed, pretty
no-
much.
Yeah,
There
are you
was
surprised the
no-
game is lacking in accessibility like in all
yeah,
places?
there was no like like any instruction like, oh, you can actually do this, oh, you can actually recalibrate, oh, you can like change anything that's on the set that came to your part because that one is fixed.
Mhm.
Like they had nothing of that. Maybe they had a bit of tooltip, like it shows you what's this, and then that's it. They don't tell you anything.
Other than that,
What-
like it was just mentioned in patch notes, right? And that was
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
that was
I
it.
think
Just-
because they have
just-
their like. Sorry.
No, I said the way they did is that they just clear cut tell you this, and then go ahead, figure out yourself.
Yeah. I think because they have like recording sessions for YouTubers, they were like, well, there's enough of these videos. I'm sure they'll be able to like go on YouTube and look at this video and figure it out. But a lot of people just don't.
Yeah,
They don't use Google. They don't use YouTube. They just come to a Discord and say, "How's this work?"
Yeah, but to be honest, like there should at least be some in-game explanation, right?
Yeah.
For how a base mechanic works, which they just didn't
Yeah.
do. So
Mhm.
it's a shame.
Yep.
Who was
But
a
I'll
mod
always be-
during? Wait, who was a mod during this time? Well, what was the situation like in the Discord for like during that time?
Only Aaron.
Only Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't even remember. Like, we probably did get a lot of people, but like by that point, we had videos and stuff from a lot of different YouTubers, and you could just, you know,
Look it
point
up.
them to the video and stuff.
It's because that was when a lot of things came out. Like
Yeah.
a lot of new players would come in because I think the very first summit was a car. Was it?
No, the first summit was
No.
pink
Polar
neon
Rush.
tire. Yeah, pink
Polar
neon
Rush.
tire.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'll always be grateful for the fact that Recal gave us something to spend money on, because before that, if you had all the cars, you had no way to spend any money. You were at the cap forever. So, I was glad that there was something that you could always spend money on. But 42,000 is a bit too much, and then they changed it, obviously.
Oh yeah.
People still do complain about how expensive it is, even though you're literally making a perfect set that you will never have to touch ever again. So it kind of has to be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like end game content, it's supposed to not be like something you could just get.
I just wish it was more like scrap actually had value, which it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like if it was more balanced, like if scrap was a genuine secondary like thing, I had to also be like wary of. That'd be amazing. Like I don't mind it being expensive as a commodity, but like it was just money. Like they did nothing with scrap. They introduced this completely new currency, but they do nothing with it. Like the commodity itself is worthless.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Almost.
Yeah, just 16 million and chilling there. Never even bought any.
Yeah. So that's my problem. Like if they actually use this properly, then I'd be down. Like hell yeah. I mean, I can 100%, as Aaron said, it's supposed to be an end game thing that you're supposed to get. But like, well, it's just sad.
There's also like a bunch of other problems with the game that the devs like to completely reject, like the fact that the game does know when you're missing a certain part and it refuses to give it to you, because it's kind of obvious when you've got 10 of every other part
Yeah.
and none of the one part you're missing, but they still say, no, the game doesn't know when you're missing a part. Like there's all that sneaky stuff. And like you can also see it in the recal, like you blatantly want pure and extra pump and it's giving you every other affix like multiple times over. And
Yeah.
it's just not giving it the same effects. But yeah, that's just another way for the game to sort of like drain your wallet, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not make it easy.
Imagine if you could spend CC on
We don't
CC
talk about we don't
Spend.
talk about that because there was one time Dream was actually buying scrap with bucks, and then he bought the last one with 160k CC. And the funny thing is there was no confirmation or anything. It just bam. I'm like,
Seriously?
yeah.
Oh, that's by design. They want you to like accidentally waste your premium currency.
Yeah, now it's worth 2 more passes.
Yeah, it's worth so much more now that you can't make
Oh
that
my
back
God,
without paying.
That's an actual bruh moment.
I think he recorded it, didn't he?
yeah. It was a clip, and I think it became on video as well, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, there's a clip on his channel. I think you can find it.
Yeah.
That was so painful to watch, but at the same time you'd be like, oh my God. Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
Hashim's
game
also
didn't
introduced vanity, right? So like, and that was when we actually we're actually able to use our premium currency on something other than like stuff that was already in the game that you could buy with just bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with the introduction of Vanity, we also had like bundles. Like you can get Vanity bundles. But I think this is like the later on.
Yeah, no, that was, I'm pretty sure that was introduced later. Cars with vanity on them
Mm.
later too. What was the most memorable one? It was like the stretch tire, the semi-slicks that people were buying.
Yeah.
And I
Everybody
remember
putting them on the monster trucks and stuff because that's fun.
This is the perfect moment to cue in my rant. My Hot Shots tire treads, I cry every time.
Oh yeah.
Fucking like this is just come on, man. This is like you're shitting on all your players who've been playing this game since launch.
I was
Literally.
yeah. I didn't
Literally,
know about the new trend
Uh,
because I had
I-
all the cars by that time. Pretty sure.
I can't relate. Although I can't relate because
Yeah, because you have the fucking all the tire treads. Miku, I swear, give me your account right now.
Yeah.
Wait, but for real, like I think a while back I did say that there's actually one car that I actually bought before they updated the tire treads, and I'm like, yeah, now I feel the pain. Like I have the old treads on this car, and
Yeah.
I want the fucking new treads.
Now imagine all the cars like that. All of your cars.
I'm not gonna imagine because it's gonna be only that one car, and it'll only be that car.
Yeah, because like here's the thing. Like, yeah, that, but I know that like, but like the only way to fix it is as that but mentioned in the chat. There is a way to fix it. Is, for example, if there's a car in the vanity bundle, like for example this Regera, and your Regera has old tire treads. If you buy the bundle, you get the Regera with new tire treads because it replaces the car. But it's
Yeah.
cost CC, so it's like 40k something
Bruh.
CC just to fix my shit. Like, no.
Yeah.
And see, like the modern tire treads was still significant, but many players said it was more subtle. So okay, whatever. But if you saw the difference between the classic tire treads, like of classics, modern classics, not modern classics, like classic cars like Muscles and just like for example the Corvette C3. If you look at the tire treads of the Corvette C3 in the shop, and if you have bought it before and you look at the tire treads, the difference is significant. It's a completely different type of tire.
Yeah.
And it looks much better because it looks like an actual classic tire that would be from the time that the car was made. But you have these like generic ass, like, like template model tires. So what any normal developer would do is like they would just
change the entire texture and not like make separate versions.
Yeah, they would just globally change stuff, but I think it may have like messed up with the vanity things because like the vanity things, so may have fucked up with the player's like account profile or something, that because like they gave the ability for the account to equip different tires or something. So maybe that's something happened. Like had to maybe there was issues with that, but like it was really just a slap to the face for for older players because it's like we've been playing your game since launch and this is how you treat us.
Or probably actually the other reason I could probably think of is that probably when they did the new tire treads, they actually had a different mapping. So like if they were, let's say, to like replace the entire global texture, it might cause some weird mapping issues.
Yeah.
So this could be one of the possible reasons. I'm not saying that they're lazy, but I feel that I feel like it might have been an oversight from them.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Here's my problem with this. The game clearly has their ability to replace your car with a new model. Regera in Point, the summit thing. Also, but just posted a picture in the chat of the new and old difference in tire treads of classic muscles and classic cars. Like it's a clearly different tire. So like they have this ability. Like the bundle, the game has the ability that if you buy a bundle, it replaces your current car with the new one that you bought. Why not just do that for every player? But like just leave the customization options on.
There is an easier choice still. Just add it as a free vanity like
Or
they did
that,
with other
like
toys.
yeah, like for example, like we have a million generic horns as free vanity, right? Or like they added that just like for everybody.
Yep.
Why not just add the old tire treads and the new ones? So people who like, because I know there's people who like the old tire treads. So for people who like the old tire treads, they can equip those. For people who like the new ones, they can equip that. How hard is that?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
I don't know, John. It sounds pretty difficult considering that Vanity is actually paid to win.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that.
You know,
how
you
can
want,
you have?
you want to talk about this
Go
one?
Yes, I want to talk very much.
my
Okay.
Red Bull tire.
So since we already kind of talked about this, right? We already kind of talked about this this whole what do you call it? This whole hotshot stuff. Let's go move on to the next one, which I believe was blazing shots.
Blazing shots.
Yes.
Yeah, from hot shots to blazing shots.
There
It's
still
fucking
was an
amazing.
intermediate, but it was like just a summit pack, and it was just carrying on from the
Yeah,
hot.
it had a lot of content, the update, that I liked. So hot shots came around, and this is where I had some hope, even though it was a scummy way to do it. They released a tire that's, while not the exact same, was very similar to the new tire tread. They released a vanity tire, and that tire was that gold one, the gold one with the gold stripe and
Gold
Japanese
stripe.
leading.
Yeah.
The good one. But at the time, back in the day, it didn't have the tread extension, like to the point where like it needed things, which like instantly triggered me. And I knew I was so like enraged because I was like, you know what? Nobody will give a shit about this. If I put this in Discord, no one will give a shit. No one. No, not the devs, not the players, nobody. So there's no point in me even pointing it out, but it was such an annoying issue. The reason why I had an issue with this is that the new tire treads, right, on the Hot Shots card, like if you bought a car after Hot Shots, those tire treads, the new ones, they adjusted themselves to like they actually increased their track width compared to the old ones, just by a tiny little bit, to compensate for the fact that their overall tire wall is slimmer. It goes inside.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Which these tires didn't do.
I remember that. Yeah, between hot shots and blazing shots, like there's a bunch of other vanities, but they weren't like adjusted. Like all the tires were like really sucked in.
Yeah. So they wouldn't do. So it would look horrendous, the new vanity tires. So I was just mad because it's like they finally gave me the option for with a fairly clean looking vanity tire. You know, this tire looks very clean. In fact, it's on stream right now under 240Z. This tire looks fairly clean. So I was like, nice. I finally get the chance, and I look at the tire, and it looks horrendous with the fitment. Yeah. And it just boggled my mind, because it's like you literally have this feature of the other vanity tires, not of the Hot Shots tire tread, that matches the old tire tread by slightly adjusting its track width just enough, right? And it looked perfect.
Yeah.
Why not do this here? And then they were gonna be moving on to a much newer update later on, but they eventually did do that. But they did it in such a terrible manner, like with different types of track width. I mean, Feather even measured it in like a tool, like all the different types of track widths that each tire has. So like, why? And there was one type of vanity tire as well that actually increased track width at the time, which was the semi-slick type. You know, all the neon semi-slicks and all that, they did move out to make up for their narrower width. Yeah. But these new ones didn't do, and they did eventually do that. And they did that eventually with the other ones as well, but the semi-slicks did that already, and they were performance enhancing, of course, because they stretched more out than usual.
Actually, it was very, very hard to tell. Like I couldn't very prove it, because the benefit they gave was so minuscule that it just was not worth mentioning.
Also, back then there was still a lot of old handling, right? Like it was a lot of old handling cars. So back then it wasn't. Even wide bodies, I remember, like for example, on cars like the Huracan Performante and the Egoista, wide bodies didn't make much of a difference because they were already like dead stable and well cornering from the get-go, and grip was limited. But with this new model where grip is unlimited and suspension is the limit, that's where wide bodies, even the tiniest wide body, the tiniest change in track width, can make a difference in a car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The most tragic thing was that people were straight up skipping on buying those tires back then because of the terrible fitment.
Yeah.
And now, like the last time those gold tires repeated, aka one of the two top tires, was in a bundle.
Yeah.
So it was kind of way more expensive to get those tires the last time.
Yeah.
It wasn't blazing shots though that they adjusted them, correct?
No, it wasn't blazing shots. No, it was much later. I believe it was summer in Hollywood.
Was
No,
it
Inner,
someone?
inner drive, inner drive,
Inner
Oh,
drive,
okay.
inner drive, right?
inner drive. They change everything, and not necessarily they change everything. They like fix the fitments and all.
Right, I see. But yeah. Anyway, it's just such a slap to the face because it's like still like this is what you give me. I want my hot shots tire treads, and what you release a fucking vanity tire. So I have to spend CC just to get new tires, and I still can't get the new hot shots tire tread for my classic cars because there's no vanity tire type that has the exact same tire type
What are you
of the old
talking?
vanity muscle
What are you
cars.
talking about? We have the white walls now, and
Oh, Lamal, yeah. Yeah, like they look totally different. Then the only car they really fit is the fucking Hop One hot rods.
yeah.
Like the classic muscle, the picture that was sent in, like that type of tire isn't available on any vanity type. So I can't even get that. And the one that I can get, which is the modern one, you pay me CC for that, and you didn't even have the proper fitment for it at the start. I still think it's such a slap in the face, and so many players are okay with this. Like you have been playing this game since release. You've bought all the cars, and you are okay with the fact that you're still on an outdated tire texture model, and yours didn't get updated, and therefore most modern looking cars look hideous with the old one.
Yeah. I at first I didn't see what you were complaining about. Like when you were complaining to me about this, like during that year, I didn't understand. I didn't care. Like I was just like, it's just tire models, whatever. And then like nowadays, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I kind of want those hot shots tires.
Yeah,
Just because the
it's
stretch
like
looks so good on the vanity tires.
yeah, because it's like because it's really annoying because like you look at cars like the Regera, LaFerrari, cars that have very modern design, futuristic design, and then you look at this ugly like outwards protruding generic tire template with like because if you look at hypercar tires in the real world, they all have the what is more closer to the hot shots tire type, which is just like stretched out a little bit,
Yeah.
smooth outline for more aerodynamic, like a better low drag. So it's like it makes sense, like that's how the tires should look. But I never got those, so yeah, get fucked, I guess, if you're an old player.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to blazing shots. Between hot shots and blazing shots, they're basically, I would say, the same update. It's just blazing shots was expanding on hot shots.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think in most ways it was just a continuation.
yeah, and from what I can see, they're just updating like some of the cars, right? Like I think this was during the time SLS was prevalent.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was not small
Yeah.
change, it was the meta change, and that
Blazing Shots was the update that introduced the new inner drive type tire grip model, like the new beta handling with the different steering and much more grip.
Yeah.
Before that we had the old one, the old Magma TDF Pista Evo.
yeah.
That.
Oh, and they
at
ruined
all- at
the
that
RS5 too,
there
Lamar.
used to be all cars with
Yeah.
that.
Alright, that's about it for 2019, right? It was just a mixed bag for everyone.
I just want to point out Blazing Shots, in my opinion, was a very dark corner of the game because like they had the street race and hypercar, but only of like handling models, but it was only a few of them. It was just a few. It was just the SLS, and in street race it was the SLS, Expo, and BMW M4, right?
Was it
And
M4?
then-
No.
Yeah.
Huh.
M4 had it.
M4.
Okay. I don't remember the
yeah,
M4.
M4.
X4, Golf, RS5.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking
That
of
was
the what's it called? The zebra cars. But
Zebra cars had old beta handling, like
Yeah,
the hot shots beta handling.
that came out for hot shots, yeah. But
Yeah.
that came out.
So the C6 also came out during blazing shots, right? If I remember correctly.
Which one?
C6.
C6 was hot shots.
C6 was
It
hot shots.
It was, no. I don't think it was hot shots. It was part of the. It was part of the.
With season pass.
Yeah,
Season pass
I
drop.
remember.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a season pass.
It just
drop,
happened to come with as hot shots was being
and
rolled out.
it had a very very you like it almost felt like the newer handling, like the beta, but at the same time you could feel like it had traces of old handling. at
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
point.
Like if the back kicked
Like-
out, you were dead.
It's not like the full transition where you see on the zebra cars or like the newer cars that we get, it was like the part where you actually have half of the new stuff they implemented at the same time. It still felt like it has that old physics.
I actually liked that handling model a lot because it had a lot of stability to it. The
Yeah.
car had weight and stability to it, especially the ZR1. Like the only issue with the ZR1 was, as you said, like if you wheel spin and spin out, oh, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But
That
like
was
the
my
Egoista, the
favorite.
yeah,
That was my
yeah,
fucking
the
favorite
Egoista,
family model. Out of all the cars that came out, my favorite handling model and my favorite car of the game was that car. For whatever,
ZR1.
yeah, the
Yeah, I
ZR1. It was
love
just
that.
so good.
Trust me, that was my main street car. I fucking loved it because it was the most stable handling model in the game ever to grace this game.
Yeah.
Cayman and
Like,
Spiker as well had that intermediate one.
yeah, and like so Cayman, Spiker, ZR1, Egoista, and Performante, especially Egoista and Performante, like these two had such a good tire. Like that new tire model was so good with them. Like it had the grip balance perfect. It grip wasn't to the point where the suspension would shit itself. At the same time, it was better than the old one,
Yeah.
and it rewarded grip driving. You know, you had to make sure you didn't wheel spin and stuff like that. And yeah, I fucking love the ZR1. And also, the steering felt weighty, but at the same time, it wasn't like the delayed type steering that we have now. I love that on the ZR1. It was really well done.
Spiker and Cayman were actually more responsive than the old handling, and they weren't the new handling. They were like a really sidestep kind of thing in that sense. I really liked how the Spiker responded.
Yeah, like yeah, I wish.
You mean
like,
after it was fixed?
Yeah, after Cayman and Spiker
Because
was fixed.
we're not on the Demolition Derby, we're on the Blazing Shots. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really miss the old ZR1 Egoista because it's like I was really sad that like when Blazing Shots came out, I was like, okay, well this seems to be their new model with the SLS, and well it looks like ZR1 is on its way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Blazing Shots in my opinion was a really dark corner of the game because there were multiple different handling models, and there were only like few cars in each discipline that had the new handling. So even in the most played discipline, there was new handling and old handling. So most old handling cars were irrelevant because new handling was like now. Like it's funny to think that we used to drive against beta handling SLSs and Expos with our old handling cars.
Yeah.
We cannot imagine that now. Like nowadays we think about
Absolutely
driving versus a
slapped.
5.9. Yeah, nowadays, because like back in the day we could pull that off because people were still learning the handling. Nobody knew just how insane the grip was and how hard these cars could really be pushed.
Yeah.
So we could still like slap with old handling. But now, like if you meet a half decent player with a 599 and you're driving an old handling touring car, you're never gonna catch them.
And you get slapped,
Yeah,
absolutely
But the
spanked.
street had another layer to it with the slipstream checks and the Huracan.
Yeah, there was that. And then you had Hypercar, where again only a few cars were there. So it's like for me that was a really dark corner of the game. Now it's still there to an extent, but at least the two most played disciplines are completed in a way. But unfortunately, touring car really cost. Yeah, that was just the last comment I wanted to add. Is like Blazing Shots was really where I felt like this game is a straight up early access beta right now. That's exactly what I felt like.
Yeah, I was getting close to considering actually dropping the game during that time, but at the time I was making the lists.
The timesheet.
Yeah, the time sheet.
Yeah, I was really fed up when that happened because go on. Sorry.
And then I was getting a drama from people because of Rally Raid and I think the timesheet for someone else.
I see.
That was funny. That was big heck for me. I was like, Lamal, why is there even drama for this? Actually, stupid.
It was very frustrating for me because like I just was all over the place. I couldn't learn the new handling because there was still old handling to be taken care of to worry about. At the same time, I couldn't ignore it either because it's the new handling. It's gonna be what's gonna happen in the future. So I need to be able to learn it. So it's like you always have to switch between handling model. And for me personally, it was messing with my muscle memory and my experience so hard. I actually couldn't really adjust during that whole time. It was a terrible time. I hated it at the time.
Aaron, I'm sorry. You want to say something?
Who, me?
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of past that point, but I just wanted to like jump back a bit to the Spiker and like we didn't really like touch on that, but like it was very strange how like only two cars in like the entire lineup had this weird steering input that would just continue after you let go of the steering input, and like it was addressed like I guess not quickly, but like was done in a reasonable amount of time. So those two were fixed. But then every subsequent card that came after that had the same problem, and they weren't fixed until I don't know when.
See,
In a
Weren't
drive.
fixed for a long time in a drive. Yeah, like
see, I feel like with the spiker and the Cayman, the spikering that they were happening, I feel like that was actually more to do with the fact that the steering couldn't keep up with when the fact that the car lost grip. Because as Deco mentioned, these cars had a slightly different tire model than the old handling, right? So when the car, like, because spikering only really was an issue at high speeds, like that's where it ended you pretty much. It killed you. And so I feel like the reason why that happened is because old handling, even at high speed, you could push it to the point where you would lose grip. You could drift, actually. That was a thing back in old handling because everybody was running +1 aero and stuff. And if you weren't running camber, you could still make the car slide at high speed. In fact, cars like the GT3 RS were driven that way by sliding and stuff. I feel like when the spiker started sliding, the new tire model had a much more punishing effect and knockback effect when the car lost grip and the car would snap back violently, and the steering just couldn't keep up. But with blazing shots, it was the spikering issue was more with the in-game's counter assist, that it's trying to counter your drift and shit. So I feel like that might be a bit different, but like it's just funny that the result is still the same, and we still call it spiker because the new steering counter assist is so bad. It tries to, the whole point of an ESP system is to do exactly what the spiker doesn't do, what the spiker effect doesn't what the spiker effect doesn't do. Like its whole point of an ESP is to avoid that. But in this game, the inbuilt ESP assist, which you cannot turn off even with zero ESP, does exactly that. It fails as an ESP system completely, which is just such a shame. Like, how can they not figure this out?
What's strange is I didn't actually drive Spectre all that much. Like I drove a couple of times and died from that. And I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna drive it. And then it got patched and I liked it then. But what I found most prevalent, when I encountered that the most was when I was driving the Evo, when that was when those came out, not the Red Fury, but the regular Evo. Because I remember dying like a couple of times from like going to a drift and just barely touching the stick to try to correct myself, and it's just yeet. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I feel like with those cars again, it's the insanely low sensitivity steering. Like the steering is so slow. In fact, if you remember back then with beta handling, the steering was even slower than blazing shots handling. Yeah. Like the old handling was the old beta handling was even slower, which is why the Magma was borderline undrivable, because first of all it was a hypercar, so there was a lot like a stress on the tires, so the tires could lose grip any minute. So they had to build in this stupidly, insanely strong ESP system, which didn't work at all. It failed completely in the task what it had to do. And you as a user just didn't have the steering authority over the car to do anything about it. So you would steer, the car was still steering in that direction you're already like steering the other way, but the steering is so slow it's coming the other direction. But because it's steering excessively still into that direction, the car is losing grip. ESP assist kicks in, but now the damage has already been done because the slow steering just couldn't come around fast enough. Then you die. Yeah. Because no matter what you do, you cannot build an automated ESP for every situation, especially in a game. Even in real life, like if the car has ESP, you're still supposed to drive with full caution because ESP has its limits. So but that's why the driver is there, so he can counter steer by himself very fast. He can react, but in this game, it's almost impossible. It's not a thing. It's only occasionally when you can do that during gutters and stuff.
Yeah, all of the weird steering was like the main reason why back then I was just committed to not playing that new handling unless I'm forced to, like some time attacks.
Yeah, which is why I love the ZR1, because it didn't have that shit like in the same way. It was that intermediate in between, and it was so well done. The main thing though about that one is stability. ZR1, Egoist, La Performante, they had no body roll, no stupid delay steering, but the steering still felt like the car had weight to it. And there was so much stability. There was always stability with this car. So why can't we have that? It's just, it's a shame.
I feel like that's where we are right now. Like, I feel like every single car that we have, well, not every single car, like the ones that have been reworked, has aftersteer / whatever you want to call it on some level.
Yeah, because now what they have is they have insanely responsive steering at the first half of the steering range. And then once you pass a certain amount of steering, the game goes into something that we call a hook. So a hook is when the game finally decides to give you full lock. But that full lock happens very slowly. And when you're in that full lock, the steering is insanely sluggish.
Yeah.
So they put this like stupid system that like the first half of steering is very responsive, and then all of a sudden like slow steering.
Yeah.
But then when you let off the steer stick, it instantly snaps back. The steering is instantly back. So it creates this weird inconsistency, and it took many of us actually a long time to adapt to this, because like we were used to full locking all the time, with old handling and stuff. But now if you full lock, you get that insane aftersteer, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So the steering is just all over the place, man.
Yeah, not a good place to be
Mhm.
in terms of handling at the moment.
Yeah,
That's-
for me, it actually made running away from people easier because not that many people understand that. And I was also the person who was playing a lot of Jet Sprint, and there you already need this small steering. So I kind of reapplied some of the stuff I learned, like just adjusted it a little, and then
Yeah.
forced myself with the testing sheet to, adjust even more.
Yeah. The way I got around to it is I just never go to the hook point in the steering. I always I only steer like to the point where once I feel the car's getting sluggish, like once I see the steering's getting sluggish, I let off. I never even try to release the hook, but it's still not an optimal way to drive, because you're like for all situations, generally, yes, you want to steer as little as possible, but there are situations where you need the full steering range, and there we obviously get fucked because sluggish steering. Okay.
Makes the lines, the corner setup before it even more important, and that
Exactly.
is the advantage of players like me and Giron. We use like the first half of the stick for most of the time.
Yeah, that's
tracks even less. We just know stuff.
That's pretty much what I'm doing now. Like I'd never let go into the hook ever. I just only use the first like 25% of my stick. That's it. Even for U-turns and like hairpins, I only use 25% input. I just put onto the car's optimal cornering speeds.
Crazy.
And what I thought initially is that because at first this concept seemed absurd to me, because I was like, okay, if I only do 25% input, this will work for many high-speed corners. But what if I do a hairpin? I need to full lock, right? Turns out you don't. Like you can still get the maximum cornering off a car even with just 25% input, it turns out. And if you don't believe me, I've tried this. Father, remember when I told you about the TC1 wheel mode steering limit thingy in Steam Assistant? If you're still here.
Wait, sorry.
Remember when I told you about the Steam Assistant in TC1, where you can limit your steering amount of stick input, the max? I did that in TC2, and I drove like that for a while. And it was to my amazement, I could still corner just as well with 50% stick input. Like I limited the sensitivity to where my driver would only turn the steering wheel half in TC2, and I was still getting the same cornering. In fact, I actually improved my PB on SF2 Coastal with that thing.
That's illegal.
Yeah, I'm never using half there on the Coastal. Never.
Yeah. And after that, I put it back to full sensitivity, and now I just never use more than 25% stick, because that confirmed me. After I started improving some of my PBs and hitting the same times, and I even used it in PvP with the Urza and Co., and I noticed my pace is pretty much the same. I was like, and actually a lot better, and I'm a lot more consistent. I noticed that full locking is just not optimal in this game ever. The hook is just never hit the hook and you're good to go. That's why Hiron is so fast. He never uses hook, and that's why he uses so many high aero cars, because he's used to very, very sensitive steering range. But yeah, if you want, you can try this yourself. You go to your Steam controller assistant and set the x-axis sensitivity to like 890 or something, and you'll see, even though the steering is so limited, you'll still corner at full speeds because you never need to full lock in this game ever.
Huh.
Ah, shit. Sorry.
Yeah. The Steam controller system was just a point to prove, because I wanted to make sure I can prove it that way, because people would say, oh, it's just your personal preference or something. No, you can literally limit it and check for yourself if you don't believe me.
Keyboard users crying.
Yeah,
right
keyboard
now.
users are fucked.
Keyboards.
Like when I first discovered this, I was like, well, if you're a keyboard user, I guess cry every time. Like now I truly feel the pain of Kyle when he was trying, the new handling. Like the pain he must have felt with that stupid hook kicking in, even though he wouldn't want to. The only way a keyboard user could achieve this is map his keyboard as an Xbox 360 controller, put the A and D buttons or whatever buttons you use for turning to the x-axis of the stick, and then limit the x-axis steering off the stick inside the program that way. But that's just a lot of work, and it's
Or you
complicated.
could play a rhythm game. Like,
Yeah.
if you heard Jerry's steering, you could tell exactly which corner he was doing by the rhythm. Like, he's really pressing a lot more than anybody else. Just to
spam
compensate for the steering.
just spam the keys, Lamar.
But this is about it for 2019, right? Like not too much happened. It was just a bunch of bullshit and random stuff that was happening to the game.
Basically, Hot Shots happened. It was easily the best update because it didn't have much competition. The other updates were just the continuation of the Hot Shots. And yeah, it was kind of not heading into the best direction. The transitions were clearly taking way too long of a time. Some of the adjustments, like the weather, or even recalibration, like some of that stuff wasn't really made good, let's say that. So yeah, at that time, many people were concerned, like at the Blazing Shots update. It didn't really give us what we wanted. So yeah, that's how we head into 2020.
All right, in 2020, I don't remember what the fuck I was doing. I think
2020.
I was still. This was just the start of the year. I don't think anything was really happening. I was still doing still updating the timesheet with like new cars and stuff like that, and then
Yeah, like going through this like list, I just realized that year on year, it's like I'm paying less and less attention to like what's actually going into the game, because like for the most part, it's like the same things. It's like a bunch of cars, a bunch of vanity,
The new
maybe
summits.
summits, and then it's like you change something and nobody likes it, so it's just sort of like that thing every update. It just becomes tedious, and you're looking for other games to.
Yeah.
I think this is the point where a lot of people start dropping like flies. Like
Yeah, we had to wait a very long time from Hotshots to Inner Drive for a significant update. So yeah, it's understandable that people were burning out on it.
And since that's about it, let's jump into Inner Drive.
Yeah,
Go on.
Wasn't this like the period where a lot of people were like, "Is this it? Is this the game? Is the game over?" Like we've not heard anything from the devs, and like
Oh yeah,
months
this
and
is
months.
Yeah.
the radio
It
silence.
was like the
Yeah,
radio silence.
radio silence. Yeah, when they did like a news post, they said, "Yeah, don't worry, the game's we're not finished with the game. We just want to take some extra time," and then that was it for like months.
At least they did tell that one of the updates is going to be in the spring and one even in the summer. Like they did promise and they did go through with the promise. They just didn't say much about what would happen. They said something about the balancing, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, everyone here has basically 100% completed the game. It was already
pretty
like past
much, yeah.
Icon 1000, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the problem was that you could expect something as they promised updates, but nothing in particular. So
Yeah.
people didn't really know anything would happen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into what's this? Inner Drive. controversial update, I would say.
See-
Two brand new handling models. Just right out the gate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've actually, as controversial as that it was, I actually thought it was one of the better updates because it finally completed the game, like the part of the game that was being played a lot, aka Street Race and Hypercar. Like, we finally got all the new handlings, and it was the only time an update was actually a breath of fresh air. And that wasn't even like because of the new content. It was more of an unintentional thing because of the fact that all the cars had the new handling. So I was re-exploring all of the cars in the Street Race and Hypercar lineups. All of us, we were re-exploring what car is good, what car is bad. Driving all the cars, and that was the only reason why that update was a good for me, because finally I have something to do. Holy shit, there's something new to check out. All these new cars like that are in the game, but they're new now because they drive completely differently and perform differently.
Yeah, I was excited for Inner Drive because all basically what felt like new cars are coming to the game.
Exactly, which is why, like, the only thing I'm really waiting for is a TC handling unification, because that's the only thing that'll be an actual
Yeah.
breath of fresh air.
They made me really busy with that one. That felt huge because
And yeah, one thing I also gotta say, my favorite feature outside of that from Inner Drive, the only favorite feature that I actually like from Inner Drive, is the mobile garage customization, that you never have to touch your HQ.
Yeah, that's
except
great.
for clothes.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I love that.
My favorite part was,
What's
and
up?
this is going to trigger a lot of people. Air NOS, Air NOS.
Air NOS. It was crazy. I mean, fucking sand dunes, your video, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
You're flying.
I did that in the fucking preview. If only I was in the fucking TTS, I would have warned them. Just get rid of this.
See,
It wouldn't have
the way they warned, like, trust me, there was a lot of like things that
I've been warned every single TTS. But
yeah,
still just,
exactly what Aaron said, pretty much.
so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, we warned them. Oh, there was
If they saw my video, they definitely would have finished. They would have been like, "Oh, shit, yeah, no, yeah."
Sure.
Maybe then. But like, see, my problem with Airnos is, well, first of all, Airnos was being introduced to a game that had tracks that were never designed with this feature in mind. Sand dunes, case in point. And even then, it's like, okay, so now the feature is in the game. You spent time, resources, man hours, and woman hours in this game, right? Making this feature, right? So now that it's already in the game, well, let's try and at least work with it, right? Let's just try and work with it. So maybe nerf it. So what they did is their first nerf was the ventilated nerf, that you can't do that.
Yes.
And in my opinion, that was already, I considered that, okay, that's enough already. That's good enough. And but then they just decided to make the feature useless by nerfing it into the fucking ground completely. Like, what Airnos power do we have now in Street Race Hyper, like, except for the MX? Like, nothing.
It was nerfed like 50%,
And Monster
no?
Truck. 50%.
Yeah.
Going for
Yeah.
what do you call it? Going forward, is it? Yeah, boosting forward, or whatever the fuck you call it. Yeah, it was 50 for all of the disciplines and 15% for motocross and monster truck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, but yeah, like this is like that what I has pointed. Like, going back to the first point, we always been said, Ivory Tower level is just extreme.
Extremes.
Like, literally, you either go bad shit with it, or you just go horse shit with it.
Yeah, like,
I
it's
think
just
the nerf was the only way, actually. Like, with how you pointed out that it wasn't made for the game, like the game and the new feature weren't really connecting together. They had to do something if they didn't want their game. Like, at that point, it was so broken, and some of the lines possible were so crazy that they basically gave up on time attacking certain tracks, even though I wanted to, because I knew that shit was just not racing anymore. Like, just hopping a rock in the middle of the track to cut it in half.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest though, here's the problem. The nerf actually made some tracks even worse. Like, because, for example, the hop on Big Bend is still possible. You can still, if you try hard enough, and I've done this with a Beetle, actually, if you try hard enough, you can on Big Ben the rock jump. You can jump the rock all the way to the second checkpoint without background tracking. You can literally hop the fence and go to the second checkpoint and
Part
keep
of
going.
it is actually due to the physics update because they changed how the rocks interacted with the cars.
Yeah, it's just that now it's much harder because there's the old aeronauts in the thing. It's just like my point is just that you would spend a time and energy making this resource, and then you nerf it to the ground to the point where all the time and energy was wasted. It's worthless now.
Well, it
Yeah.
still adds some depth to certain disciplines.
Very little bit.
Right,
Well, MX, I guess. Yeah,
no,
MX, I
Rally
guess.
Raid got a lot from
Oh, Rally Raid. I can
from
imagine
this
that.
like
Just
whole-
from
Yeah.
the master track. All of that
Mm.
still works.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Rally Raid now without aeronauts.
Yeah. It's just that it's no longer what in the way that was intended. It's more subtler things now with aeronauts. It's like, okay, well, there's this little jump here that's gain a few more kilometers per hour, or there's a little bump here you can use, and or this is where you can avoid some off-road slowdown by hitting this bump or stuff like that.
Without
Yeah, and initially it was
deletion, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
initially it was like no tactics to it whatsoever. Like just full yeet, fam. Just be in the air as much as you can.
It's almost like a situation with Ferrer not getting into that test and then showing his video only later on how broken the sand dunes can be. Like some of the stuff that was possible in the game back then was like, I don't know, maybe crazier than some of you can imagine. And there were just some people like me, for example, who just didn't want to do it. And I'm just so happy that it actually got nerfed. Like if it didn't, like the game would go into even more broken of a state, and I don't know, maybe at some point would have to be just dropped entirely as a feature because it would be so insane. Like it just opened up your minds basically, like you said, Joe, that you can still try hard for some of those cats, like without aeronauts. Many of us like this. It would be way crazier.
Well, I guess it would be a better feature if only we had actual functioning fucking checkpoints. So we wouldn't have to do all these ridiculous rock bounces and wall bangings and hit this bump and go fly off into space and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because
Mhm.
Yeah, and like the cool thing also about aeronauts is it actually kind of evened out the balance of cars a little bit, believe it or not, because aeronauts acceleration didn't discriminate in power. So when you were in, like, for example, I'll use New York here as an example. There's a road in New York where there's like a lot of jumps, consecutive jumps, one after another, like very quick consecutive jumps, one after another, and they're huge. In that section, it doesn't matter whether you're in a piss weak car or in a meta car. Aeronauts acceleration treats all cars the same way. So aeronauts made in some cars like the power discrepancy that some cars had over other cars, it kind of balanced that out. The old aeronauts, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it still does it now, but yeah, in a different way. Which would be a nice feature. I like that. Like cars, low power cars have a chance to make more of the straights now than they before used to. But as Deco said, like with the way that checkpoints are right now, it would open up a whole new mess of problems and kind of worms with the whole RNG and rock bouncing and the things you could basically abuse the mechanic for different purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The update for me, as like more casual, it was more like I was looking forward to it because like for a long time, I guess I've basically played every single like car, and I guess if you're not that great or you don't use the tunes, like a lot of cars could be difficult to use. Like the low end stuff was pretty much unusable if you're not like great at the game. So like the Hup One and all the muscle cars and stuff.
Even if you're good, fucking Hub One is actually undrivable still.
Dog shit, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea that these cars were going to become usable again was appealing, and
Yeah.
I mean they are now more usable. Like they stand up better to like the AI. They're still shit against other players, obviously, but like they can at least go toe to toe with like
You can
AI.
play the whole game with this
Yeah.
car without like feeling like shit all the time now.
Yeah. So in that sense, it was good, but like on a whole, we've lost a lot because of this like updated handling.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with you. Like, as much as like I love the fact that all cars got like all the street race and hypercars got the balance, and it was a breath of fresh air, and the balance overall was better, as we just talked about. So that was for a lot of us just so much nicer. Like we can use all these cars that we would never even think of using before. Like the old muscles. But yeah, like it's hard. I mean, Kyle and GeForce are a prime example. They dropped the game because they were sick and tired of everything just body rolling, the suspension just killing itself randomly on bumps. Like all this balance came at the expense of overall drivability. Totally. Like it's like on the old model, the old cars, like the lower tier cars, were dog shit. They were fucking garbage. But at least the upper tier cars were insane. Like the Hurricane was just a dream. Like it was it was crazy, and it was nice to drive compared to new handling. But now, even meta cars are just terrible. Gallardo is just not fun to drive. It's not a fun experience in any way. A Bugattis are no way fun to drive. They're horrible. But they're meta. At least in the old days, metas were still stable and nice to drive.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle, the balance is much better than old handling. Like it's still not balanced. Obviously, there's balance is still all over the place, but it's much better than old handling. You cannot deny that.
You know how you can rephrase that? Let's say this. Like some players get closer, and because of this, they are happier, right? But there is still a very clear rift because of how those things are working, and it's like the rift is not as long, like horizontally, but it's deeper. All those issues which we just mentioned, and it just takes people ages to overcome it. It really hurt the accessibility of the game. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking, before TC2, I never thought of those things, like the weird steering hooks, suspension just killing the cars randomly. Because in other better games, it never happened.
The game was
They just
designed
work.
to give you normal steering. Like,
Yeah.
this whole idea of implementing weird ass quirky assist was just never a thing. Because, well, first of all, the developers would just respect the goddamn gravity and grip levels of the physics engine. They wouldn't just type in 99999% grip and then forget about gravity. Like, that was a thing. That's why I loved the ZR1. It had updated grip model, but it stayed within the relative parameters. Like the ZR1 wasn't the new OP shit. It was good. It was better than the old handling in terms of grip, but it still was the same performance here. And that's because the grip level was still at a sensible level that, it respected the level of gravity and the steering authority and the speeds the suspension could take and the gravity would allow for. Now, the grip is so high because there's no downforce mechanic in this game. The Alpha Mark 10 is the prime shining example that there is zero downforce in this game. The Alpha Mark 10 is just unlimited mechanical grip, no downforce. The car has insane grip. The moment you hit a bump or you hit a crest, the car dies. It kills itself completely. That's why you don't, when you have a mechanic like this in the game where there is no downforce mechanic, right? And so what you do is you keep the grip under a certain level. You keep it low. You keep it so that there is no such thing as the suspension just dying completely because the tires are refusing to give up. You first let the tires give up before the suspension ever thinks about it. That way, it's a much easier and much more sensible way to manage your driving physics. That's what you should be managing. You should be managing your tire grip. You should not be learning to drive your fucking suspension like you do in this game. In this game, rather than managing your overall tire grip most of the time, you're also learning how to drive the suspension, what areas the drive suspension will take. And it comes to the point where you're taking certain areas in the grass and the gutters just to not kill the suspension, rather than actually managing your tire grip and cornering speeds, right? If they just had lowered the grip model and stayed with the old handling levels of grip and maybe readjusted the tire model, like the grip coefficient and the way the wheel spin punishes you, aka ZR1 Corvette in point, like that was a shining example again, this would have been fine. But now you have increased so much grip and the gravity, like you have no downforce. So this just means infinite amount of instability at high speeds, especially in hypercar class. The hypercar class is such a terrible class overall if you think about drivability, if you really get down to it.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah, so Hobbies came out with this update too, didn't it? It came
Yeah,
out, it came
it's
out
a
overall.
separate update.
Yeah.
It was its own thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's something to do. I mean, some of the hobbies are pretty stupid, like having to beat friend highlights, which
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
by this point in the game, everybody, like all your friends, have probably done things in the game that is like literally impossible to beat. So you're gonna have to look for people who are new to the game to get their highlights to beat this hobby.
Yeah.
Or you're just gonna ignore it. You're just gonna do all the ones that are actually feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was actually okay. Like, just imagine if you're, for example, like a newer player, and we have a lot of them all the time.
Yeah.
Like, some like exploration kind of points, like visiting the places with your eyes, wouldn't even think of visiting, doing stuff, like making people discover different modes like PvP and such. It does sound like not a bad idea, and it does work in a way. It did make for a lot of playtime for me as well, because I was just grinding for days to get the 2 cars, the street race ones on testing sheet.
Yeah, like I guess that for that it's really good. It's just from my point of view, it was still a shit update that was lazily done and completely lackluster. Because again, stuff that us older players had done years ago, like a year ago, we had to redo it all again. All of
The
it.
biggest concern is just that they don't care for the dedicated player base of the game.
Yeah, it's the hot shots trend all over again. Again, old players get shat on completely.
Took them a while
Other
to
than-
actually like do some of the stuff. Like some of the stuff was actually impossible to
Yeah.
do. Like what was it, the bumpers? Like some people already had all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait.
Like, so for people like Aaron, it was like, what the
That was stupid.
There was
Yeah.
the earning followers in
Oh,
PvP
yeah.
as well, which is physically impossible if you're at icon 9999.
So like some of
Change-
the stuff wasn't tracked retroactively, so like that was a problem. And from my point of view, I was kind of like, bruh, now we get this. Like this would have been nice at the start of the game, but like for new players, I can
Exactly.
see it as being a very nice like thing to do.
It would have been a very nice thing to do, as you said, if it was on launch day. If that shit was on launch day, I 100% agree that would have been a really nice thing. It would have given me something to do once I had completed all the disciplines and everything on difficulties. And like that would have been a nice thing to do. But again, like they do it now. And even then, for new players, it's nice. But still, I still consider it a very lazy update for the rewards that you get. And also considering some of those challenges are just the most random, haphazardly done way I've ever seen. Like just random shit that they didn't even think about how fun that could be, right? Or anything. They just typed in a number, a random location, a random vehicle restriction that just put it out. Like, for example, the Harley Davidson for how many kilometers on Mother Road 66, that strip, that the amount of road you have to travel to with your friends is so little. So you're basically just going up and down in Harleys this road 24/7. And it's like, how is this fun? Or the best one, the 250 kilometers in jet sprint in Las Vegas, in those tiny points.
150, not 250.
150, yeah. Still though, like what? This is your idea of a challenge fun? Like,
That wouldn't have been so bad if it was like the start of the game, because you get some of that stuff naturally. Except for the Mother Road
Exactly.
one, I don't know how you could like finish that naturally.
You
have to
fucking
just
can't,
spam.
Or another worse one, fucking spending I don't know how many kilometers or hours upside down in an air race. Like, who thought of that?
Yeah.
Who thought of that?
I can't remember. Are they like locked to like free mode? I can't remember.
No, you could complete them in
events.
Yeah, in events. I'm pretty sure you could complete them during events.
Yeah. Like I remember completing the coast to coast achievements and stuff in some races like New York and stuff. I did like that. One thing I liked a lot out of the challenges is the what do you call it? the drive from one place to another in a certain amount of time. It gave you a nice excuse to cruise in free mode with friends. I like that.
But like, there's a bunch of things just like, 500 skills in this family,
Yeah.
But the
which is
problem
easy enough in Street Race because you can just spam speed traps. But like,
Yeah,
slalom
stuff
and
should be done in a
aerobatic shit.
grand way.
Yeah, that's what I
It's-
mean by lazy, because it's like this is clearly just they didn't think they clearly just did the type the number 500 to artificially inflate times, like to play time and
no,
just to make this challenge.
that wouldn't have been too much of a problem if it was at the beginning of the game, because
players.
because you'll be able to complete that naturally, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you did summits and stuff, occasionally it would get done, but still, like now and they really didn't think this through, in my opinion, and so that's why for me, hobbies was terrible, lackluster, and even the car rewards, they just banked on like nostalgia boners and like player like popularity. The rewards themselves are objectively garbage. Plymouth, trash, absolute horseshit. What nobody drives that. I haven't seen anybody driving a Plymouth anymore, even when they unlock the car, because it's just an unpleasant car to drive. RX-7, same thing, slightly better, but same thing.
No,
And then the HX concept, which you already mentioned, is complete trash in Rally Raid.
oh no, it's trash in Rally Raid, but it's god tier handling for Rally Raid for whatever
Because
reason.
beta handling excellent. It's the only reason why it's good is because beta handling. Who knows how good it's gonna be once all Rally Raid have that handling,
Also, the FC is actually complete garbage in a novice hands, because like the way the body roll like reacts and how like a function is
exactly.
just really weird.
That's my point. Like they didn't even bother giving you anything good. It's such terrible cars. The only reason why they put those in is because like everybody, because people who have JDM boners will go crazy for that car. It's like, oh my god, this is Ryosuke's initial DRX-7. Holy shit!
It's
like
not even a real thing, Lamar.
yeah, I know, but still, people don't they don't know that. They just fucking go crazy when they see RX-7 or something. And same with the Plymouth Roadrunner. Like you didn't actually objectively give us any good rewards, and those were. Even then, out of all of the rewards the hobbies gave you, those are the only rewards that were actually worth going for. Everything else below the cars was terrible.
Wait! Whoa! Are you knocking my astronaut alligator emote?
Yes.
Can't be doing that.
But yeah, like the terrible rewards, horrible challenges, and just too late to the game. That's my main. That's pretty much summing up the update for me.
Yeah, I think a big problem with hobbies now that they're like this old, is even when they came out, like the most dedicated people would finish them in a week, maybe a bit longer.
I think growing
But
finishes.
problem, yeah,
like the first few days.
yeah. But like problem is like with such little rewards, and the fact that you don't need to do all of them, they're just sort of like they're just a thing now. They're just sat there. They don't do anything. That's the problem when you have like a limited reward pool for something that like has so much like challenges. Like, what's the point in doing these 20 or so challenges I have left because I've got everything? So now they're just like another part of the game that's collecting dust.
Yeah.
I mean, they've even gave it, like, now that the chase is out, they've given up on like the weekly hobbies. They're just like, what's the term, like standardized. It's just the same set of weekly hobbies every week now. It's not a different set of hobbies. Nope, it's just the exact same thing every week now.
I never noticed.
I think the problem with it, like having not enough rewards and stuff, is that it just kind of follows the pattern of the game overall. Like between the hotshots and inner drive, like if you analyze the updates, the truly big ones are two of them. The named hotshots and inner drive, right?
Yeah.
So you had to wait another entire year for something really significant to happen. And yeah, with that, it just feels they don't really have enough resource to like, just release it at that time. Remember, hobbies were delayed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of playing into it. Like they just couldn't. Like if we had more rewards and stuff on it, and like more thought out challenges, it would probably take even more time, even more of a wait, and it's way too late for the game, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
So they kind of wanted to enhance the game, but we're running out of time. So it's
Yeah.
it's not too bad. Like for me, it's not too bad. It wasn't too disruptive for me, and as you know, Aaron, we just finished it like yesterday.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
like you even then you were like, I'm gonna avoid all these like more than 5 minute like challenges. So
yeah, because that's the exploration kind of stuff, which
Yeah.
makes it for players,
yeah.
for casual
But
players.
even with all this like complaints and stuff, they're not as bad as like what they could have been. I'm thinking back to like the Crew 1 wait that 1,000,000 overtakes. A
Oh.
million overtakes. It's
But like,
ridiculous.
but the rewards for those were like license
Nothing.
plates, weren't they?
License plates and a bonus towards like your login cash.
Yeah,
It's
but those were there at the start of the game, right?
true, but by the end of the game you would have had like maybe 1,000 overtakes. So you've got another 9,999,000.
I feel like it's because the direction of TC1 was supposed to be quote unquote MMO car game, right? So in that context, it made sense, but they kind of switched that going
Yeah.
into other updates.
And like people were only finishing Crew 1 awards, like Aqua was finishing his awards like just before the Crew 2 came out. Like it took that long for people to get these awards done. It was just ridiculous. And then of course like the game fell into disrepair and like a bunch of them were bugged, myself included. I can't get all of the awards because some of them are bugged. So at least hobbies, as far as we know, are all working.
Yeah, just imagine how much worse could it be if it was reserved for this year instead.
Yeah.
Oof,
Like,
yeah.
maybe there would be some more challenges, like maybe an extra buff or an extra car as a reward, but wouldn't it be even worse at this point?
Yeah. Anything that I think was going to go into hobbies is now in the chase, because the chase just feels like hobbies, but structured slightly differently
Hobbies
into
V2.
a battle pass. Yeah. Because you do things for a currency that gives you rewards, basically. And that's the chase.
Yeah.
What was an Inner Drive? If I don't really.
It had like a bunch of really small changes, like including like the rocks behaving differently on the head.
The one thing I wanted to talk about was the vanity tires when they actually got changed, when they actually started sticking out more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was happening with the hobbies, I believe.
This I think I tested them like I think a month after or so, like when they got changed. I mentioned to a couple of other people, but like if you didn't notice now, I don't think it matters to you at all. But
Yeah.
the red Rofo and the red stripe tire, and the gold stripe tire do actually change the handling enough to give you actually 2 seconds of time.
Depending on the track, yeah, and
Depending on the track, yeah.
Yeah, for example, in this case, it's the Testarossa. Ferrari Testarossa. That's where you gain 2 seconds.
No, even on like the S2K, you gain like 2 seconds on Big
That's
Ben.
crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
like, it's actually like insane. The other tires do give you extra time, but not as much as those two tires do. I think the red Rofo like came around again for like once. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, even the other vanity tires, they have a significant enough it's handling impact depending on the thing, because like some of them actually have the same rear width as the red Van Rofto and gold stripe. It's just the gold stripe have a tiny bit extra compared to the other vanity on the front, and then they later on release these new weird ones that have like different width in the back too, and it's just weird. I don't understand why they would do that. Like, why not make the same? If you already want to make it this way, which is stupid, pay to win pretty much. Why not make it that all vanity tires are like the Rofto and the Gold Stripe, all of those of that type, of that tire tread type.
No.
Why make it so that only these two are good, and the new ones you're releasing are just the old ones, so there's no point using them.
Oh, they're balanced. We're talking about chat. Those
Yeah,
ones are.
totally.
If you didn't win,
I
if you didn't,
forgot, bro.
if you didn't
100%
buy them,
balance.
if you didn't buy them, you're fucked now. If you're trying to
Yeah.
go for world records and you're looking for the extra like couple of seconds, those extra few tenths.
Yep.
If you don't have the red stripe or the gold stripe, you're done. So
Yeah. Or for example, a best example is the other day in PvP event, I was driving the F-Type with Deco, and Deco had the good tires. I had slightly narrower vanity tires on my F-Type, and the difference in performance was like crazy. Like I tested later on, like even though it was like the difference in the vanity tires were just a little bit on the front, it was a completely different car all of a sudden. Because in some cars, it can literally make that much of a difference. A tiny extra 1 millimeter of track width. Because remember, with this new increased grip, the suspension is under so much stress, the tiniest change in track width can help you massively, depending on the car. So some cars will gain huge things regardless, even if it's a tiny little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
It also kind of facilitates the tune which I have to make the stock car turn. You really need to make it a little drifty. So
yeah.
getting like a more solid stance for it and giving it an extra turning to make the setup, turn even easier. Yeah, it made it like extra good compared to the stock.
Yeah, or like stock is not even not even competition. Like the difference in stock and vanity is actually insane. But even the difference between other vanity tires and these two top tier vanity tires can prove enough of an impact.
Yeah, it really played into my 55 on the Miami Harbor. I just was straight up not getting it with the white line, white bands tire, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And like on the last long corner, very important for the exit onto the next straight. The S2K wasn't making it on the good enough speed and was kind of trying to slide out on the other tires. And then I slapped the red Rofos.
Yep.
It became more planted, and at the same time, it started turning in more. So I was able to carry like 10 more kmh into it like easily without even trying.
Pretty much. So like it's ridiculous, man. Like why not just make all vanity tires the same track width?
You know, I would like vanity
What's
tires
up?
my bike.
I never understood that. See, I actually never understood that. Why bikes don't have them? That I thought that Tron like vanity tire, whatever that one is.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be a bike tire too.
Yeah, but apparently no, they just don't like it.
Put my fat bike tires on my car.
Dude. You know what I want? I want like the super fat vanity tires, like how the futuristics like bikes have it in
Yeah.
sci-fi and shit.
Yeah.
Fat ass rear tires. I want those. Not like bikes are useful anyway. You fucking one drop of water and you become a hub one.
All right, since we're going to bikes, touring bikes.
Wait, before
But the game wasn't made for them.
Go on, Miku.
No, I was about to say what did I miss? Like which timeline are we at now? So we are at TC bike.
I think we're still on Interdrive, right? Like that's when the bikes were at it between Interdrive and Summer in Hollywood, right?
No, just okay. So I'm okay. I'm actually way
Right?
past too late, but just
Right?
yeah. Way past too late, but actually TC bikes came with the hobbies update, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway,
And
like
they actually did a summit before that where you drove a bike on that touring car track, and one of my videos was literally just doing the cut and just hopping over the wall.
But that one was like way before the update, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but like it was basically
so they would even have time to change it, but they clearly do not care enough.
Yeah, they just didn't give a shit enough.
You want to talk about? Go on. Sorry, go on.
It's funny though. It's because I was the first one that found it. I was like, huh? Like, how am I the first one to think about this? This is stupid.
Because everybody's just poo hate Lamar.
Oh,
do you want to talk about the fact that they straight up, like, instead of actually trying to fix stuff, they straight up just don't let you use a bike on a certain touring car track? I
Mm.
forgot which touring car track it was, but there's a touring car track where you're just
Miami racetrack. Miami
yeah
racetrack.
on Miami racetrack. In it outside of summits, you're just not allowed to use bikes. That's their fix
Seriously?
somehow.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
out, if you use a bike, it switches you to a car
It just
automatically.
Yeah.
shows how not ready they were for this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But anyway, like going back to my point, I know I'm not late to it, but I think Inner Drive was like probably the update I look forward because one thing is because they finally unify the handling, so we
yeah,
won't have at least all the different handling models in just one category. I thought I really like it. I think the only positive thing is that my favorite car, my favorite SR in the game is actually like a god tier right now. Maybe not really god tier, but like really up there.
yeah.
Other than
Definitely.
that, uh, it was the F40 by the way. Other than that, I think like the update itself, I did enjoy Anos, even though like at the start I said that it's at the start I was like laughing at it. I said, "Oh, what the fuck is this? Like, why would you want to add this?" But like throughout the entire update, I just grown used to it. I just said like, yeah, this is like actually fun. I mean
Hmm.
like I mean like at some point you might think yeah it's stupid to like use this kind of stuff and like seeing what people could do with air nitrous was actually like kind of insane. Flashbacks to Huayra's serial jumper.
Hmm.
Like he literally just spammed the NOS entire time. I'm like, yeah, that's actually insane. And considering that like what one could do when they figure out what to do. So
Yeah,
mm,
it's a lot of fun. The problem is just when you really start to get to the specifics, it can get from fun to annoying as hell RNG real
yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what I feel as well. Like when I was doing some stuff like on certain street race track when I was like going for times and everything like yeah there's this one point where it just doesn't let you or it's just asking for too much.
New York,
Yeah.
what?
Alright.
Other than that I think like the update itself, yeah, I did kind of like it, but
During during this period, a lot of you guys were mods, right?
I wasn't at a point of time.
But
Like me, GeForce, Jot became the one like at blazing shots kind of time in that void between the blazing shots and inner drive.
during
Yeah.
during during Energive, what was the situation like in the Discord? Do you remember?
I cannot remember.
Still a lot of people.
uh no, I think nothing much happened really. People were just like like exploring, basically like trying to find the meta for the
Hmm.
street race hypercar
I
all
think
over again.
everything was really alright and
Mm,
really active. Nothing
I
to
think
complain about
I
really.
think I think people were also like literally like trying out the new cars. I think at the time we had the Diablo and the what's the other car? No, it wasn't Diablo, sorry. What was that car that we got?
I don't
Yes,
Uh,
remember.
go. Yes, go.
yeah, the Jesco, and probably what's the street race car we got? The
Hmm.
Mustang, yeah, the Mustang.
The GT500.
Oh wait, I remember now. The people that bought the Sunset bundle, remember, had a bug. I don't know if you guys remember that. Uh, Basically what happened was that if you bought the Shelby Sunset bundle, and then the next time you log in, the car is literally glitched out, like you cannot use it, and
Hmm.
it's kind of like unable for you to use.
Well,
And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that was probably like one of the issues when Inner Drive came out. So I think that this is the Discord kind of like sparked a bit of question like what are they gonna do? And then I remember like some people were complaining that they had they actually put a their own nitro chemie set
Oh
on
yeah,
the car,
I remember
and they
Ah.
had
that.
to pay people to
Hmm.
retrieve it, and that was so like really kind of unexpected. Like
Yeah.
you think like this kind of thing, this kind of bugs wouldn't happen. But yeah,
Hmm.
like uh people lost nitro chemie set because of that. Yeah, they did lost the nitro chemie set, but then in I think like somewhere later in the fix they did kind of like said they'll give it back
Yeah.
So
That's how I
yeah,
got a few literally for free. Like the parts on those cars were like random at best, but they
Mm.
actually gave
yeah.
perfect ones.
Lemma.
But yeah, like but yeah, like I think apart from that, I think these were the two noticeable stuff when the update was released in the Discord. So like not much, not say not much. It's like there was a bit of hoo ha here, but it wasn't as bad as when the chase trailer dropped, Lamar.
Aaron,
Yeah.
you moderate the forums, right? Or am
No.
I thinking of someone else? No,
No.
no.
It's loaded.
That's that mode and
I went and
Lotus.
Lotus
Lotus.
and that
Okay,
wallet. Yeah.
okay. I don't know why I have you guys mixed around for me. I was gonna say what was the
Honestly,
situation there, but it's
I stopped visiting it.
Yeah, I
yeah.
I barely visit forums. Yeah, that's
Especially
just
when
I
you
I
hand
have
in.
I have I have zero activity there, so I
Bro,
don't know what's the
same.
situation like.
Yeah. Especially when you hand in a bunch of like reports and stuff, like fully detailing things, and most of the time they just don't.
Don't
Nothing
care.
happens.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Aaron's and GeForce's report in a nutshell.
yeah, two things I reported and they've actually been fixed. Is one, I think it was like more towards when the game first came out. I noticed that the subtitles didn't actually denote who was speaking, so it completely defeats the point of subtitles because you don't know who's talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then
I
they
think
changed that.
I think I remember that one. Like the person would just be speaking, but then you have no idea who the heck is speaking,
Yeah,
and like the cutscenes won't literally like on the person's face that is like speaking
Mm.
in the cutscene. So
yeah,
yeah.
they did change that after I told them. And then the other thing was for the longest time, whenever you were in like photo mode or in the video editor,
The black dot.
no, that wasn't me. I didn't report that. I
Oh,
think that did for a long time and it got fixed eventually. But it
Mhm.
was in cars and in like bikes, well, anything really, like with wheels. Um, the photo mode wouldn't detect. It would only detect straight wheels or full lock. It wouldn't be able to tell the difference between like if you were half turning or turning into a corner. You can never like full lock your wheels, right?
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And I saw people take pictures all the time with like
Oh yeah, I
full
remember
lock
that.
wheels, and it was
I
like
remember that.
so I reported that, and that actually did get fixed.
Oh,
So
okay. I never noticed that actually got fixed. I
Yeah,
just never
they,
tried to lock my wheels. I always tried to take full locked or
yeah,
no. Yeah,
yeah,
now that I know that they fixed that, I'll be able to actually take some nicer
yeah.
photos.
That's why I didn't take pictures and I didn't do videos and stuff because I just noticed it all the time and it was annoying.
Right.
Yeah,
All right, I think that's
like
about it for Air Drive.
in a
No,
drive.
no,
Inner
another
shits.
controversial one.
Summer in Hollywood.
Summer in Hollywood.
Oh
The
man, I can't even remember
emote
what happened in
Uh,
Summer in Hollywood. What?
mood events.
Okay.
That's it.
Mood
Oh,
events. No,
Yeah.
the was it air physics got changed? Fucking
Yeah,
MX got changed.
and okay, why did I say Microsoft? Motocross, sorry.
A modern
Motocross.
sober environment that might as well
Mm,
cut it out. It's a negative. Only the negatives happen because of it.
yeah. I really don't know like what were they thinking when they changed motocross. Okay, like I mean for me I'm just gonna say that I did play, but I'm still kinda like mad that they gave this kind of garbage ass physics and you expect people to like,
Mm.
uh enjoy it and then
see, I
awesome.
played motocross and I feel like it just wasn't user friendly. The handling is just not user friendly, and the tracks are not designed for this new handling
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Exactly,
It's just
exactly.
not designed for this handling. Actually, I believe Feather made a post somewhere with the comment or something, and yeah, he pretty much pointed out how the handling is just not made for these stupidly tight tracks, and you have to like the way you have to drift the bike around, and there's just not enough control. When the bike goes into a drift, countering it as a keyboard user or something, it can go to beyond the point of beyond recovery, right? So you have to
Yeah.
like really light on the stick and stuff. So it's just not user friendly.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the idea like how it works. I get the idea like how they wanted to make it like how it was in reality, but the way they depict it is not like the best
Yeah.
way I can say.
Again,
Just
like
I would
go
have
on,
said
sorry.
I would have said that I think the Silent would have been nice if they had other finer controls with it, body lean and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like MX vs ATV, you ride your bike with actually two sticks, not just one. You control
yeah,
the actual character where you place your body weight and all that stuff. Then you also control the bike and how they
weight
feel.
transfer basically.
Yeah.
Weight
But like
transfer.
in the older
Yeah.
MX vs ATV games, it was only one stick, like it is in this game. I think they should have modeled their stuff after the older game because before it was similar to that, but it was kind of like lacking just a bit. Just need a little bit more tweaking. But the way they went with this, just full yeet to the opposite direction, it's just not nice.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like they needed to either make it more responsive or just like to put the way you
The
cannot
current assistance options are insufficient as well, and they
exactly.
had to make it work by cutting the air control for literally everything and changing the grip globally as well, which turned rally raid bikes into shit as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another problem. I just didn't understand how
Yeah,
why they didn't see that coming.
I feel like it's because of the new handling for monocross. It just affected the rally raid bikes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like why they didn't see that coming somehow. Like if as a handling developer, if they were correlated these things, they should have. I'm sure they must have known, right? Because like you're the one who designed the handling, and maybe you know if there's some correlation. But whatever. My main problem is that it's just not a user friendly model. Like I'll be honest, I personally didn't have much issues. It's just because like I can get used to it and like relate to the thing, and I can just be light. But I can fully understand why it's so heavily criticized because if I played it casually, like just as casually, I just wanted to try it out for a while. So I played the motocross, the MX Summit, and I did all of that. But I can see myself like if I actually had to go for good times with this and like actually had to push it, or not even times, just push it really hard, like just drive fast, it would be a horrible experience with the way the bike slides all over the place and the lack of control. That's my problem. The sensitivity in the steering is not good enough for the level of sliding the bike and drifting the bike can do. That's my problem. Like you do not give us enough steering authority to have that kind of physics. If you want that kind of physics, you have to give us total control of the steering authority and actually also put in some assists, as Deco said, because the current assists are just inefficient.
Yeah,
And
overall, this handling just doesn't slot into the game, and it is by far the worst handling change. Like, we thought that air race was bad. No. Ivory Tower took it as a challenge
yeah,
and did monocross.
Yeah.
I even had problems when I was going for what was it? I was doing one of the summits where you drove Great Sanding with the bike. So,
uh-huh.
even that was dog shit. Like it was just so bad.
Yeah.
Like just
Like,
keeping the bike straight and keeping on my line was a pain in the ass in itself.
yeah.
And but then having to
Actually,
manage nitrous along with that too. And then other people calling me out in the fucking YouTube comments, you're cheating because you start so quickly. Like, bruh, I just used my clutch macro to go from first to fifth.
Keck, easy. But like, yeah. What I wanted to say, Feather, you mentioned the older games you used to play. The ones that where they only used single stick. Could you explain a little bit, maybe how they did it there in their game?
The
How
way
was the game?
the way they did it is well they had tricks separated out where you had to hold the button before you actually went off the jump, so you and then like you would do like a combination of stick inputs and it let you do that.
Uh-huh.
That's how they did their tricks.
I
But for
see.
everything else, like even if you want to do a flip, you have to hold that same button and then kind of flick the stick forward and backwards. So like you're acting like a weight transfer. The only weight transfer you had was forward and backwards. The left and right was done for you automatically with your turning your steering
I
input.
see. But how was
And
like the drifting tire model done? Like,
drifting was not too much of a thing because in reality you would be driving in grooves on
right.
motocross bikes. Like the deeper the groove, the more grip you would have, basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
Yeah,
like
that's
they
true.
didn't really
Yeah,
put too
it's
much.
almost like a train.
So like
Yeah.
they really didn't for those older games they really didn't like give us drifting too much. The only way you could
So
really drift
basically,
is like
go
on
on.
hairpins, and you slide out the back, and you hold the clutch, let go of the clutch as soon as you straighten out from like slipping out the back, and you could like jet out of the hairpin. That's the only type of drifting you would be able to do in like
That's it.
MX versus ATV Unleashed. I think that's what the game I played was called.
So
like-
basically, what you're telling me is that drifting is actually not a thing in actual motocross because they're driving in these grooves.
I mean-
basically the bikes.
I mean, no, in certain races, yes, you can drift, and it looks a lot different. But yeah, you can drift,
Yeah.
but the surface and
Yeah,
stuff
like
like
because
taking into account.
the reason why I'm saying this is because I understand the concept and the idea that the devs were going for in TT2 with the drifting physics that this motocross MX handling has.
Uh-huh.
But it's just I just don't understand why they didn't just give us a better steering response. And like maybe I also like because like the only gameplay I saw like for first time was GeForce playing it, and he had a hard time like because the bike for him was just borderline uncontrollable. It was absolute uncontrollable. So what my question is like, how could they have made it like where they want this drifting thing, but at the same time still give the player enough control? Because right now you have to be like super sensitive on the stick, otherwise you'll die completely.
Yeah,
Like the bike is on ice or something. Like, and it's weird because we had drifting in this game, well, power sliding, in old handling, touring cars and street race, you slid those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They have the tire model capability. On those, you didn't have to be super light on the stick on the old handling. You could just drift casually around the corner. But so they clearly had this capability of making the bike drift, maybe, and in a manner, but maybe it's not. So I don't know.
Oh, another thing about the MX versus ATV, the air control was a lot nicer. Everything was kind of floaty, so like it made sense for that game, and I think it'll make a little bit more sense here because like even now like shit's floaty. But
I see.
the way they handled air control was and this is true for real life too, is that you can kind of like steer near with like ruddering the bike basically.
I see.
You act as the rudder and you could steer back onto the track if you're in midair and you're like it's very minimal, but like it's enough to save you and keep your flow.
Right.
And that was the main thing that I didn't like about motocross in this game, was that there was basically no flow. Like these jumps are just placed haphazardly. Like there's nowhere like where you can land and keep like going.
Right. So basically, the tracks also were just
Yeah,
not
the
up
tracks
for it.
are just not designed for this. And with air notch
Yeah.
too, yeah, you can completely overjump it. The only way you could
Yeah.
aim your bike in the other games was I forget what they call it, but like you squish the suspension in the back and use that spring as to jump higher.
Right. Yeah. See, that's such a shame. Like that's pretty much the problem. Like for not just now, many features like for example, AirNOS and now MX. Tracks are just not meant for this kind of thing. And honestly, you could say this for many handling changes, even for street race. If you're being dead honest, this new beta handling, the tracks are not made for this. Coral Gables, Palm Gate suburbs, those tracks were not made with this level, with this sensitive suspension in mind, ever, or with this lack of downforce in mind.
Yeah.
Like you could pretty much say that, and it's a shame because
What
like the
down?
old handling didn't have issues with these city tracks, but this new handling all of a sudden had heaps of issues. Well, it did have issues in the old handling, but not to the same extent that we do now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else was that with Summer in Hollywood besides? Oh yeah, that was the main talking point, was fucking motocross.
Yeah.
Air nitros getting nerfed basically 50% for everything else and 15% for motocross and
Yeah.
monster truck.
You kind of talked it over already. Like they did decide on the nerf before, they were just evaluating on how much exactly.
If they released it like that, it would have been nice. Like the way it
Yeah.
currently is now, it would have been, wouldn't be too bad.
Basically, that update like ended up way more insignificant than I thought it would be. Like I thought, oh, they would add some like inspired events which would actually have a theme and stuff, but in the end, it's It's like the worst design, but heavily restricted and has a filter over it. That's it.
They also added the Beetle. Forget about that. The Beetle and the Combi bus.
Yeah.
Also, we got the R390 and Carrera 4S.
Those things.
The 935 baby.
My
The
dragster.
very first. Yeah, the dragster. I was gonna say the 935 is the first touring car that granny shifts.
Yeah, and this is gonna open a whole new bag of can of worms that is just not gonna be fun.
All right, let's move on to Chase. Then the update everyone was excited for. Bro, cops
Wait,
in
we-
TC2?
Wait,
Guys, it's not co-ops, please.
we jumping with Chase already? We're done with summer already? What?
Yeah. What, you want to keep talking about summer?
I was gonna say the Muda events, like
It's just an event with a filter at the top of it.
no, yeah,
That's-
I know. No, but just saying, like in general, the track design. First of all, I thought like at the start when they introduced us the first few events, I thought those were okay. Like
Wait,
up
you
until
like the light bike one?
the light bike one, I thought no the light bike I can understand. The light bike I can understand why it's all 90 degrees. It's because Chicago is just literally 90-degree corners. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
just,
tell me you like the DeLorean event.
My main problem with the light bike event is that it's in the wet.
It's in the wet. So yeah.
With
so
the
yeah,
Kawasaki Ninja old handling bike, it's like,
Would you rather have? Would you rather have had a light bike that had different handling from the original one?
Yes.
I would want something with a new handling at least, minimally. Like
I
if you're
can't-
already making me.
That's
sorry.
also another
see.
kind of worms that could be open for people being like, "Hey, this bike is OP compared to the other one."
Light
me-
handling is really nice, actually.
for
In my
me, for me, I'd say like I felt like in summer I felt like in summer in Hollywood they kind of missed the opportunity to uh unify all the bikes because one thing is that they are actually coming out with the Light Rider, and I believe that people were like hoping that, oh, it's a new bike, it's probably gonna have the new handling, but
Nope.
no, they just got shafted, and it's basically the old handling. It's just that it has a a special vanity tire and pretty much like two accents. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. They had the chance to not just unify bikes, but many other handling models as well.
Every
But I
update
mean,
is a
I
chance
know,
to
yeah.
update all the other handling
like,
models.
I mean, think about it. We have touring car not unified. We have rallycross not unified. Street race bikes not unified. Touring car, our bikes are already unified, but touring car itself, rallycross. Did I mention that? Rally
Yes.
raid. Rally raid.
No, Rally
is not
doesn't
unified.
need it. Rally doesn't even need it. The beta handling is completely garbage.
It doesn't need it from a competitive standpoint, but still, like from a physics and standpoint, the fact that these cars have a different tire model is a problem.
Yeah,
that's the issue. Like they should not coexist.
I'll be mad
At
if
least
they touch.
Monster Truck is like the one that they got right.
Oh yeah. Surprisingly, Monster Truck came out relatively nicer.
yeah.
Like overall,
Yeah.
the handling is a lot nicer across the board.
Yeah, and the Alpha GP also different handling. You're not unified yet. The one actually, Kyle mentioned a good thing. The one thing that what do you call it? The one discipline that should have had a handling change but never got it was fucking powerboat. My yacht outperforming literally anything because no water slowdown.
I thought that was just a bunch of nerfs and buffs that they gave to boats here and there. It wasn't like a completely new model, was it?
Well, there were weight reduction things, like not weight reduction, weight distribution changes, like the weight distribution.
Yeah, it was
like
just
you could have
just tweaks.
That's all they did. Yeah, but that's my point. Like the one discipline that should have gotten and would have benefited from a global total like change never got it. You still have all boats unusable except this fat ass whale of a boat outperforming these dedicated racing boats, which is just a shame, honestly.
Yeah.
You don't like my Big Bertha?
Big Bertha.
I mean, Big Bertha is nice, but I'd like my other boats that are abandoned there and collecting dust. I would like to use them, you know.
Yeah.
Mm,
All right, I think that's about it for Summer in Hollywood. Went over literally
Yeah.
everything.
yeah.
All right, now it's
Choice.
time for cops.
Oh my god.
Guys,
where
come on,
Bro,
guys. Let's be
cops?
real. It's
I
wall
don't-
security. It's not cops or anything. Come on, wall security. Come on.
Okay. For real. Where are we gonna start from this? Shall we just start from the fucking trailer? Are we gonna start from that?
Yeah. I don't remember what the trailer had in it, but I'm pretty sure it was like, "Welcome to Motorflix."
So basically the trailer was no. When they were announcing the trailer for the next update, basically they were already like halfway through Summer in Hollywood, and then they actually like promoted that lowriders will be coming to the game,
Oh yeah.
which is yeah, fuck. Now we got another thing to talk about Summer in Hollywood lowriders. But anyway, those were trash. So nobody wants to hear that shit. So we're just gonna skip that.
Yeah. Fuck lowriders.
Yeah. But yeah, like they tease about like like something like a TV show. Basically you had like some a group of like a group of like bad guys in demo derby cars going to a vault and robbing, and then all of a sudden you see an interceptor unit coming out just to smash them one by one. Yeah,
I,
so basically like what are the thoughts on the trailer? I think like I'll just say it myself, like I wasn't expecting this, but at the same time like I just treat it like, probably like it's just some just some bullshit side mission we have to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, like that was my initial thoughts. So I'm just like I didn't think much like, oh, how bad is it gonna be, and then that was my initial thoughts. That's all. I did It was nice to see like a C8 in the trailer. Like I'm sure that car was kind of like requested before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
At this point in the development of the game, I was already jaded. So
yeah. Same.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, what is the chances of this being like fleshed out to the point where people will want to come back to this style of event because it's unique enough and interesting enough to be interesting for a long time. And then, I play it and it's like it's the same thing every single time. You just drive along a road and you hit cars until the game says that you've done enough. And I was like, yeah, people are going to probably run through these events once, maybe get them all the way up to ace, and then they're probably not going to play them ever again.
Yep.
And that's kind of what's happened.
The
Like the only
problem
reason why
is
people play them again is probably because they're in the summit or they're doing Motor Pass
Water
challenge.
Pass, yeah. The problem is that it's not a sufficient enough replacement for actual racing events.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the disciplines do need.
Mm-hmm.
The one positive thing about the events was mentioned even on the previous podcast, that point about murdering cuts, not using the visible checkpoints. That's actually technically really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just used for useless events.
Exactly. Like, I mean, we already I ranted about this with Deco and Aaron yesterday. Like, this system they have in Chase, where if you exit the route, it forces you back onto the initial route. It doesn't let you cut it at all. Actually, in fact, I was playing a chase event at Feather, and there was a ramp. I tried to take it; it just instant respawned me back. It was hilarious. And this would be one of the best fixes for the touring car bike jump cuts. One of the best, but yet it's not implemented anywhere near that.
I think a lot, like when the mode first came out and people were pretty disappointed with it, they were saying like, why didn't they just copy Road Rage from Burnout? Why is it like 8 cars on normal? You can do this in like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I was hoping for was actually a Hitman. Not Hitman. Has anyone ever played Stuntman? I was hoping for something like that. I'm like, Motorflix, okay, so it's gonna be a movie company, or it's gonna be something like Netflix where they're sponsoring or movie making, be like a stuntman. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I was hoping for something like that, a stuntman type of like mode. Like that would be interesting. Like where you have to actually like drive with precision and go through time yourself with the events in the game, and you have to. I thought it was gonna be something cool like that. Because
You know what else would have been
that
cool?
whole game's premise is really fun, and I can't play on emulator because the timing gets all fucked up and the AI runs into shit. Yeah, unfortunately, that I can't do that. But I was hoping for something like that. But because it was the third year into the game, I just like, yeah, no, I kind of feel like it's gonna be dog shit. I knew
Yeah.
they're gonna just half-ass this shit super hard, and it's just not gonna be
You know what?
fun.
At least would have been what you know what at least would have been cool if they used that also that with the same like cut avoidance system, like the root system that they use that doesn't let you use cuts. If they use that system, but they use it for time attack, you know. So you know how like a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, there's interceptor rapid response events as well, where you have to get to a certain place with your police car in a certain time. Like you have to get to like a roadblock that you're being called to. That would have been cool too. Have like side racing events for these interceptor editions as well. You know. That would have been really nice. Like
Yeah,
time
or
attack
just
style.
make a separate mode. If you wanna keep your pillars for like the presentation or whatever, keep them. Just make a separate time attack mode with that new system.
Yeah, I was mainly just saying like they could make actual like time attack events for the interceptor and name them like rapid response, like officer get to this position, outlaws are getting away, get to it quickly or something. You know, they could have had like an event outside of just smashing the
Or like
outlaws.
Yeah, and maybe tie in the events by like the starting points and the ending points, like in between each other, for a bit of a story, kind of.
Yeah.
Make a more proper TV show kind of a thing out of it.
Yeah.
Because the lore is suggesting that we are filming one, apparently.
or lore
Then
TC2
just
lore.
make one. Yes.
What even is the lore? You're just a hot shot rookie that came out of fucking nowhere and started smashing all these disciplines.
No. They saw how cool you are already from smashing those disciplines, and that's why you gotta be the stunt driver.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because apparently it is the next step in your career after smashing all of the racing events. Doing, I don't know, driving in a straight line for a top tier driver, Lamar.
I don't even feel like that's a lateral move from fucking like pro racer to a stunt driver. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the kind of a move you actually take like when you are retiring from racing.
Yeah.
So not very cool for a racing game.
That's like the long and short of this update. Like, I mean, everybody knows like what, like our thoughts on motor passes and our thoughts on
Well, all right. Let's go over the motor pass.
contracts and shit.
The motor pass ended. Like everyone finished it here, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in 3 weeks.
Did you enjoy that grind? Did you enjoy those 3 weeks of just being locked out of shit? No. Oh,
No,
okay.
I would rather do it really quickly in the beginning and then never do that again.
I would prefer, because I come from like Apex Legends where the battle pass actually takes effort and doesn't end in like 3 weeks, but you feel like you're getting something out of your effort. Whereas the Crew 2's is short and you're not getting anything out of it. You're just getting like a couple of cars and then a bunch of vanity that pretty much nobody gives a shit about. Like, there's a few things in there. There's like a NOS and like a light bar, and then like the rest of it is just like tints and wheels and stuff like that. It's like nobody really gives a shit about.
Ignoring what's in the battle pass, the progression, the way they actually like, implement the progression of the battle pass. Unlike other games, they decided going with like a coin system on stuff that you complete.
Yeah.
Rather than like a leveling system, but I don't think they could have done a leveling system here anyways to begin with. But to go like this.
It is technically a level, like you like the coins give progression to a level and then you go up the levels. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, the main problem is the challenge itself is really, really low, and it is split and time gated. So
Mm.
something that is already small, something that is already not creative, something that is, I don't know, just not interesting. It gets also split, like making you log in on separate days just to do the same thing, like for the second time, or like the thing which is like just the same thing but in reverse, like 2 days after, instead of
Oh yeah.
just doing it right away. It just feels even less significant. Like you log in into the game knowing that you have like to play like 15 minutes or something, sometimes even less, just almost instantly completing that level, and
Yeah.
it just demotivated me, for some time. Like when I was actually doing those dailies on the Motor Pass, it didn't feel good. I was happy that the Motor Pass ended.
Hmm.
All right, what
I
was
think
your favorite? What was your favorite challenge from the Motor Pass? Bro, mine has to be Sailor
Wait,
Daily.
Yes, yes, the best challenge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
wait. Like before I start saying, I just want to say about the battle pass is that I think the coin system they did, I'm okay with that. Like for me, because I can relate to what Aaron has said. Like battle pass usually feels like it takes effort to do all this. So I can understand like why they did all these daily challenges and weekly challenges. Time gated, I don't know. Maybe I feel like probably a majority won't agree with it, but I'm fine with it as long because it's like if I'm done for the week, like I'm done for the week, then I don't want to like do anything else in the game besides going to PvP and summit. Um, I think the other thing is that uh what I felt that they could have done more was more than 50 tiers. All right. So
Mm.
like I said, I came from other games like not just Apex, like Warzone. Like like Warzone nowadays when you have a season battle pass, they give you like at least 2.5 months to grind. I
Mm.
think you should know this because you play
Yeah.
COD. Yeah, so like they give us like 2.5 months to grind for the battle pass, and there's no challenges or anything. They just like based on like your EXP accumulator. So like and they have 100 tiers in the battle pass. So I felt like like I I felt like TC2 could have approached the same way, like at least add in like more rewards to the thing, and not just like stop at 50. Because right now it just feels like they have all the challenges. They have so many challenges like you could do, but at the same time rewards are so little,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like very worth spending 80,000 just to like get 50 get just to get only 50 levels of items, or maybe
I
like
agree with that. 80, it didn't really feel like 80,000 cc's worth
yeah
of.
like I to be fair, right, the price for the battle pass when you both normal battle pass, the motor pass when you buy, let me just say, okay, maybe some of y'all might disagree. It is justifiable that it should be priced 80K, because when I converted it into like real life money, it is almost the same as like what you buy in other games like Apex, or maybe like Warzone, or maybe even PUBG. It's just that I felt that the content inside the motor pass wasn't enough to justify the price, which
Mm.
is kind of what that turns me.
So
Yeah.
50 levels just wasn't enough.
Yeah, like even like even in Warzone, you see like there's 100 levels.
Levels.
Not just Warzone. In COD,
Yeah,
you
like
see
if it
more than
wasn't,
100 levels.
if you don't want to make it like more levels, then at least give us better rewards. Like as Aaron said, just outside of a few rewards, the rest were really terrible. There
Mm.
wasn't really much to
And
gain from it.
And
And go on,
sorry.
sorry.
go
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 on,
ahead.
go on.
Don't forget that all these other battle passes that we're mentioning, like you pay into them, but then you get exactly what you paid in back,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't in this game.
exactly. So you eventually have to pay
Actually,
real
actually,
money.
I just want to say, with this season for COD, they actually paid you more than what you pay for the battle pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apex
that's
does as
that's
well.
yeah.
Fortnite does as well.
Mm,
So this actually would, encourage players to play the game daily, and it will be a viable replacement for contracts. See, if they wanted to do this system where they only get half of what you get back, they should have at least left contracts in. But
Yeah.
contracts are actually a way to actually make you log in daily. all the time. And even if you just logged in for like, even if you were completely just done out with the game and you just logged in to do a quick contract, there was still always occasionally a chance where you could, even if you did the contract, maybe you decided to stay and do something else just for a little bit. So it would, it would sometimes generate gameplay just out of necessity to log in sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think okay, maybe I'm just gonna say one more thing. Like regarding that earlier we mentioned like what if like the battle pass for the motor pass for TC2 they were actually like something like EXP based, like how you've seen it in COD and the past seasons of Apex. For me I just think like it's just gonna be like grind fest all over again,
Yeah,
which is I don't know, maybe good or bad for some people.
Yeah.
Like they could just do anything in the game, like probably do the PvE races or like play PvP or I don't know, pretty much like do anything in the game that that allows you to gain followers. In this case, not EXP.
Yeah.
And then you'll probably be like accounted into the motor pass, and I think that way would have been like much better. I don't know. It might be like a worse direction for some people, since I know like there's some people who are not willing to grind, which is understandable. But
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, like I feel like the daily motor pass challenges are like the biggest drain on like my sanity. Like it's just the exact well, like they probably have like 10 and you get 5 a day, so they've only got like so many things they can give you to do.
Yeah.
It's just not like I used to complain about how contracts were bad, but like I feel like they had more variety in contracts than they did in motor pass challenges. So I feel like the next one I'll probably just skip the daily stuff and just do my weeklies, because you can complete the motor pass easily with just your weekly challenges. You don't have to touch the daily challenges at all.
Who was it that was keeping track of all the contracts?
Me.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
it's
you?
Aaron.
Did you ever see complete summit events as
No.
a contract?
No.
No. I got one of those during a preview.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So what the fuck?
But theirs never made it into the game, and then contracts got axed, so they never actually.
Highly
I think
unfortunate.
it's probably one of those things that they had it. They wanted to probably bring it, but at the time, Motor Pass was coming up, so they probably like
Yeah.
They just axe put in new contracts.
They
Why
just
is Giron screaming NDA?
Because
they
of this
just-
contract.
And that
They
that preview already passed. Don't worry.
yeah, like if Ivory Tower is gonna sue who else for this, then yeah.
They can
But
sue
yeah,
me.
like
And also,
like I said, probably Motor Pass was coming up, so and then they were like gonna get rid of contracts at one point, so they might as well just stop bringing all these new contracts to the game,
Yeah.
or rather it is actually in the game, but the spawn chance is like once in the blue moon. Who knows?
maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, they have said like, well, they gave the generic like, oh yeah, we heard you. We see your complaints about contracts. The first season is set in stone, so nothing's going to change for that. So we'll visit it later down the line. But I don't know if they're just like,
No, they just brushed it
okay,
off.
yeah, I'm hoping that we'll just forget about it. And I did say last night, because we were me, Deco, and Jock were talking, and Miku, that I might revive my forum post about contracts, just to sort of like make sure that the devs aren't getting complacent and thinking like, oh, they've given up.
Getting too comfortable.
So,
Yeah.
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 All right then.
But yeah,
I think that's
that's
about it.
That's the history of the crew.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the future gonna look like? Probably not great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, besides hotshots and the inner
Okay.
drive, we didn't even receive that much of significant updates.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Significant content, yeah.
So
Past
what was your
hotshots
favorite?
is just-
What was the favorite
Oh.
update for you?
I don't know.
Hot shots.
Probably Hot Shots.
It did a lot of wrong, but it was actually meaty enough. It was actually doing stuff to the game.
It's the only one for me that felt like a genuine title update. That and Inner Drive, but Inner Drive for the wrong reasons, not for the content.
I like the Inner Drive.
I liked Inner Drive too, simply because, well, outside of the car, simply because it gave the mobile garage. In my opinion, that was one of the biggest things. I loved it. The mobile garage that you can customize mobily anything, which would have made testing vanity tires and stuff a lot easier. So I like that. So I would say like Hot Shots and Inner Drive probably. Inner Drive because handling and because mobile garage, and Hot Shots because it's the only one that actually felt like a genuine, proper big boy update.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
basically we need more significant updates, and if the timeline like of the previous updates arriving this spring is, anything to, if it keeps it up, like we're not going to get anything like that in like 4 months,
Mm.
maybe a little less.
I mean, we've seen that their like layout is basically just another like
Battle Pass.
five motor passes.
Yeah.
Like, whether they can squeeze additional game like changes in with those, I don't know. We'll have to find out. We've seen like the patch notes in the past two updates, and they've been very bare bones. They've
Oh
basically
yeah.
changed
Sorry to interrupt, but that would actually brought up a good point. Hot Shots did bring up a very annoying and horrible feature that is the weather change.
Uh,
Yeah, but still the update was big enough. The problem
Yeah.
is that the updates like Summer and Hollywood, the chase, the blazing shots, they are just not significant enough.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but like I wanted to mention weather because like we didn't talk about it much.
Let's say that I'm not necessarily calling some of those other updates like the hot shots very good. No, I'm not. The problem is that you're picking like from something that was controversial to something that was just straight up insignificant.
Yeah, it's like you're picking from a bunch of things that aren't great. So you're just like, this one had some good things in it. So
Yeah, no, I'm just saying in general. Like, let's talk about the weather. Like,
Mm.
what do you guys? How has the weather affected you guys? Like this weather change. What do you think of it?
I think
It's a
global
mistake.
warming. I think global warming's bad.
XDDD.
Uh,
Nah, let's go.
um, okay, I keep
I
getting interrupted to the point that I forgot what I wanted to say.
actually,
But no,
okay, go on, Miku. Sorry.
um, what did I wanted to say? Yeah, for the weather part, I wasn't really like I wasn't really say I like it or like a big fan of it, but I didn't really mind it because like I came because you know like I came from Forza, so it's like I understand like weather affects everything, so I just usually just drive through and everything. But after like playing for so long, I just find that snow is just uh it's just an eyesore.
Mm.
So it's like whenever I see snow, I just feel like Jesus. I don't wanna stare at my screen. I'm just gonna like lay back in my chair and then fall asleep. But
Yeah,
yeah,
why is it still in the game?
I mean,
Yeah,
Miku, for
uh,
Forza for you though, like it was seasons each week. I can only imagine how it was to get snow on the week you want to play.
Yeah.
mm, yeah. I mean, like I've seen snow, but like not this extreme level. Like we all say that every tower has this mentality where everything is just extreme to them. But yeah. And then one more thing to add on. Since the topic was asked about what is the best update, I'd say for me, I'd say it was Gator Rush. Although I wasn't around during that time,
Mm.
I just felt like they though that was the update, they did quite a lot of things. And I think the one that probably comes close would probably be Hot Shots or Inner Drive,
Mm.
because Hot Shots was basically like they literally had Summit. And for me, I say it was Gator Rush. Although I wasn't around during that time,
Mm.
I just felt like they though that was the update, they did quite a lot of things. And I think the one that probably
Yeah.
I say hot shots because, well, even though I have a lot of problems with the summit because it's boring, and the fact that all the rewards are still exclusive, and we have to waste weeks on weeks on weeks on repeats, where 90% of the people who win those repeats are the people who won the first time. But you know, Summit is still something that brings people back, and then Recal is something that I still use to this day and is a good feature. One of the few good features that was sort of spurred by the community, and they listened to us and did it.
Yeah, I guess like so the general consensus, I guess, is hot shots pretty much being the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me also hot shots in a drive. But yeah, speaking of this weather, I fucking hate it. I fucking like. I mean, TC2 at the start on launch did weather, in my opinion, so nicely. There was sunny most of the time and dry, and there was a few times rain, and then you barely had snow occasionally.
A blip of snow. It only lasted for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I was okay with that because snow in this game looks terrible. Nobody wants to see it. It's not done in a proper way. If it was done in a proper manner, sure, I would take it. But it's not done well. So I love that. And like hot shots, that's the one thing I hated. The weather, it's horrible. Constant rain. It's like just no, I can't. Just get out. Don't like that.
Yeah, I think to add on the recalibration, I think that was actually one of the good things from hot shots as well. Like it kind of like made like certain it kind of like made certain possibilities like you know people who were going for leaderboard times and everything, or they were able to like go faster and like explore new stuff pretty much. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about Recall.
My favorite update being Inner Drive, just because for some of the same reasons Miku's new handling had. Because it was a new handling model, people were like figuring out how to go faster. Air Nitrous was a fun thing for a while, and then it got nerfed to a reasonable level. So that
I guess Inner Drive, everyone got kind of like reset in terms of their speed and skill, also because like everybody was figuring out the new model again from the scratch.
So that's the reason why I like Inner Drive.
Yeah, I like Inner Drive a lot simply because every car felt like a new car in Street Race and Hypercar. Everything was being re-explored again, seeing how it is.
I might have to burst your bubble here, but keep in mind that Inner Drive we were introduced to granny shifting.
Oh,
yeah, but still, like it was still like new cars,
Bro, I'm so immersed shifting an entire second in my Honda S2K.
Yeah, dude.
Don't worry, I fixed that.
I think that's the only update. I think this is like the only game that has. Okay, fine. I'll give credit that they have granny shifting. I guess they just want to like get up with the times, like other racers that do their games with like slow shifting.
See, here's the thing: like adding transmission to inertia is fine. It's not a problem because, as you said, many other games do it. But the way TC2 does it, well, first of all, they use it as a balance point, right? The cars that have a lot of very slow shifts are given extra power to compensate for that slow shifting. But then they completely forget about the fact that they have this thing in the game called clutch that you can bind and just leave it in the game, while other people who are playing on auto or on console just can't utilize it. Especially console. Like console players will never be able to utilize it ever.
Yeah.
And you introduce such core mechanics at the end of like the halfway through the game. It's like no. Like my main problem with clutch is the fact that it brings upon a meta where we are only looking for clutch cars because that's the only cars that are fast. Fast shifting cars from now on will always be garbage in power because they won't get that extra power for the to compensate for slower shifts. Like just look at the Corvette C8, BMW M8, they all have mediocre power. But you look at stuff like the S2000, and it's all of a sudden like god tier levels of power simply because it's trying to compensate for that extra slow shifting tab. Same with the Rift edition of the Skyline. all of that. And it's annoying because like now you're always kind of looking for slow shifting cars just to look for power, and then just the fact that they somehow completely managed to forget that clutch is a thing in this game, and then didn't even bother to add sequential clutch. You do not bother to add sequential clutch. That's the biggest fail ever. Like you leave this binding capability of clutch in the game, but you forget to add sequential clutch. Like, get out. It's just weird. My upgraded car with my upgraded transmission still has granny shifting. Are you kidding me? Forget that clutch is a thing in this game, and then in cars the 935 granny shifting. Are you shitting me? You're telling me my professional Motor Nation champion driver that has won all these disciplines can't shift fast? Like, come on, man. It's crazy.
Ah, shit.
Whew.
All right, I think that's about it. I think we're done here. my internet's dying too, so yeah, kind of gotta wrap this up.
Good luck with uploading this video.
Yeah.
Well, your stream was dying.
Yeah, I was dying
Yeah,
for
I
a
was
little bit.
starting quite a bit.
It's
Yeah, I
Starting.
saw your stream was like lagging. I'm like, is that yours or what? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Got an almost 4-hour video to upload.
Yeah.
Nice.
So basically, that was like an entire TC2 in one go.
yeah,
Yeah.
We
all
missed
of
a lot of
TC.
things, but I didn't want to like bring them up because I didn't want to like inflate the
Yeah, no.
talking time.
Well, there are obviously like a lot of like minor or even very minuscule things happening in this game, but not all of them are really worth mentioning in like a global overview.
Yeah, I mean, we can always talk about them as subtopics next podcast and stuff like that.
Well, who said there was gonna be a next podcast? Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Huh? What?
No,
I
it's
said
fine.
it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You have to do it now.
Oh, I have to do it now? Oh, okay.
Yes.
No. Here's someone else host it for me. Anyways,
Oof.
yeah, this will be the conclusion.
Here's the future of this game.
Did you cut it off already?
No, I didn't.
No, get out.
Oh my
Get the fuck out.
god.
Gi-
Oh
gi-
my
gi-
god.
Give us. Oh my god.
I moved him away.
Anyways, yeah, this has been an overview.
Brahim.
All right then.
We are done, I guess.
Thanks for the long talk about this game.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
good.
you get everything you
How
want
the
off your
game went
chest.
downhill.
We'll
Yeah.
see how this motor pass system is gonna go.
Till the next update, I guess. See everyone again.
Oh,
Alright.
yeah.
Or maybe when the trailer gets released, Lamar,
What trailer?
they finally tease the trailer. We can just talk about it again.
Bro, the hunt?
Rolls
Oh,
off the tongue.
Hunt, you
Not,
mean.
not that.
Okay.
I mean like the
Next
next one.
The next update, you mean?
Yeah, the next update.
Yeah, I wonder what that's gonna be.
Mm.
Alright then. See you guys later.
Yeah, time to say bye bye.
And
Bye.
bye, bye everyone. Bye. Yeah.
Bye, boys.
Woo, yeah.